Shinobi Undercover, a world where modern-day ninjas hide in the shadows to fight evil. Chapter 1: A Ninja's Work. The scene opens with a tense confrontation. A young ninja with intense eyes holds a man from behind. With a swift and brutal movement, the ninja snaps the man's neck, neutralizing the threat. He then drops the body to the checkered floor below, leaving a trail of defeated enemies. This is Yudaka, a modern-day ninja. These shinobi exist even now, operating in the shadows to eliminate threats to the nation's peace as part of the ninja public safety force. Having cleared the building, Yudaka approaches the man he was sent to rescue, a kidnapped politician who is shaken but alive. Yudaka reports into his earpiece, his codename revealed as Yudaka, the Nightjar. His superior confirms the mission is complete and thanks him. His orders are to wait 5 minutes for the recovery team to arrive and then return to base. Yudaka is left alone with the rescued politician. 5 whole minutes? Yudaka panics internally as the grateful politician begins to thank him profusely, saying he owes the ninja his life. The politician offers to repay him, but Yudaka, clearly uncomfortable with the social interaction, awkwardly dismisses the offer. Suddenly, a picture frame falls over, distracting the politician. When he looks back, Yudaka is gone, having vanished into thin air. From a ledge outside the window, Yudaka gets an earful from his superior. He used a stealth retreat ninjutsu to escape the awkward conversation, much to his boss's annoyance. Leaping across the moonlit city, Yudaka reflects on how hopeless he is at human interaction. The thought of spending 5 minutes with a stranger was just too much to bear. The next day, Yudaka is perched on a rooftop in a school uniform, apologizing for his behavior. His superior, still annoyed, tells him it's fine and moves on to the next mission. Yudaka looks out over a large high school. This will be the location of his next assignment. For the foreseeable future, he'll be on a bodyguarding mission. His assignment, at first glance, appears to be just an average high school girl. Yudaka is horrified. He sputters into his comms, reminding his superior that he's awful at talking to girls. If he can't talk to men, who can he talk to? He continues to panic, stating that this mission goes against everything he was taught about being stealthy. His boss tells him to lower his voice as a car pulls up to the school gate. From the back seat, a cheerful blonde girl in a school uniform announces she's heading out. Her driver reminds her to be careful. She laughs it off, saying she's not a little kid. All the while, other students, including a boy with spiky blonde hair, watch her arrive. As she steps out of the car, she immediately trips, hitting her head on the door frame and stumbling out onto the pavement. She lands in a heap on the ground, her school bag flying open and scattering books, papers, and her lunch all over the place. Watching from a distance, Yudaka is stunned into silence by the chaotic scene. The girl lies sprawled amidst her belongings, right next to the car. Lying on the ground, the girl looks up and wryly admits that maybe she should watch her step after all. Her driver simply replies, "Indeed." Back on the rooftop, Yudaka's superior delivers the final blow. That is your assignment for this mission. Oi Muka. He's then told that she has been classified as among the most challenging wards to protect, a fact Yudaka screams he could have guessed. Down below, Aoi continues to gather her things. As her driver gives her some final words of caution, she wonders aloud if her lunchbox survived the fall. The driver bluntly informs her that it has assuredly not. As Aoi Mukai walks away with a smile, Yudaka notices she dropped a small keychain. His superior immediately sees this as a great opportunity and orders him to give it back to her. Yudaka panics, planning to stealthily return it later without her knowing. But his superior shouts through the earpiece, "No stealth. Go talk to her." An order that goes against his very nature. Forced into action, Yudaka awkwardly approaches Aoi, stammering as he holds out the tiny panda keychain. She looks over, surprised, and confirms that it's hers. Aoi thanks him, and Yudaka flinches from the simple interaction. She asks if he's a new student, and he nervously stammers out a confirmation. With a bright smile, Aoi reveals that she's a first-year student too, and says it's nice to meet him. After that surprisingly pleasant interaction, Yudaka is filled with a sudden, misplaced optimism. I think this mission is going to go fine, he thinks, much to his superior's disbelief. As they walk through the school's entrance, Yudaka is reminded that the higher-ups are fully aware of his unique personality. He's told to focus on what he excels at: combat. His superior explains that other ninjas are also present at the school. Yadaka already knew he'd impressively picked them out from the crowd earlier, noticing a scary look in their eyes that he didn't like. The most important rule of the mission is reiterated. It must be accomplished without the assignment, Aoi, ever finding out that she is being guarded. Because of this requirement, Aoi has no idea that her school has been infiltrated by deployed ninja, who pose as the people all around her, her neighbors, friends, and even her teachers. Yadaka's specific role is to act as the final safety net. When none of the other ninja can help, he is the one who must ensure the assignment's safety. He panics, worrying that if he fails, the other ninja will hate him. Yadaka enters his new classroom as his superior tells him to take a look around. He sees Aoi already chatting with two other students who ask if she's okay after her tumble. One of the students, a girl with glasses, is introduced as Kana Fujimiya, codenamed Hibari, the Skylark. She kindly asks Aoi if she was hurt or needs to go to the nurse's office. The other, a boy with spiky blonde hair, is Taki Utsumi, codenamed Ominiko, the Gull. These two, along with another named Unozoki, are the other undercover ninjas Yadaka needs to be aware of for now. The long-term plan is for Kana and Taki to become Aoi's best friend and boyfriend, respectively. Hearing this, Yadaka feels relieved, thinking he has the easy role since he doesn't have to get close to her. The superior confirms the plan. Kana and Taki will eventually become her friend and boyfriend to gain full control over the assignment school life. Yadaka watches from his desk as the others talk to Aoi, realizing this means she'll be living a completely fake life, orchestrated to guarantee she has excellent friends and a good life without ever knowing the truth. But the thought of this curated life strikes a chord with Yadaka. He breaks down, slamming his fists on his desk, thinking how much he wants that, even if the friends are fake. High above the school, the superior muses on the scale of the operation, noting how many of their few teenage ninja are assigned here. He tells Yadaka to simply follow orders as usual. A teacher announces the start of the entrance ceremony, telling students to head to the gym. Taki tells the group he's sticking with the guys, and Kana gives Aoi Roger that, as they prepare to leave. Aoi tells Kana to go on ahead, as she needs to use the bathroom first. Kana kindly offers to wait so they can walk over together, but Aoi insists it's fine. Kana worries she was rushing things and not acting natural. She decides to go ahead to the gym, figuring Aoi will be along shortly anyway. As Aoi heads to the bathroom, the classroom empties out, leaving Yadaka alone at his desk. He miserably asks his superior if he really has to go to the ceremony, and gets a firm yes in response. Yadaka's social anxiety flares up as he imagines walking down the center aisle with hundreds of people staring at him. He really doesn't want to go. Unseen by him, Aoi peeks into the classroom from the hallway. Aoi suddenly appears, having returned from the bathroom, and surprises Yadaka. She catches him alone in the classroom and asks if he's ditching the ceremony. He frantically denies it. Meanwhile, at the gymnasium, Kana Fujimiya reports in, her codename revealed to be Hibari. The assignment, Aoi has not arrived. Kana realizes she messed up by letting her go alone. Taki Utsumi, however, isn't worried. He's received a report that Yadaka has eyes on her. This piques Kana's interest. She's heard rumors that Yadaka is the best ninja in their age cohort and is curious to see if they're true. Back in the hallway, Yadaka is getting an earful from his superior for not approaching Aoi yet. Yadaka yells back, arguing that they haven't reached a stage in their relationship where he can just talk to her, much to his superior's exasperation. The argument continues, with Yadaka frozen by the fear of being seen as creepy. His superior yells that something could happen while his eyes are off her, but Yadaka dismisses the concern, thinking she couldn't possibly run into trouble that fast. Famous last words. Yadaka peeks around a corner just in time to see that Aoi has impossibly tripped and gotten a trash can stuck on her head, surrounded by a mess of empty bottles. Never mind, he thinks, retracting his previous statement. He rushes out, wondering how this could have happened in a split second. Is it an enemy? Meanwhile, Aoi, stuck in the trash, bemoans her fate, wondering how messing up her shoelaces led to this absurd situation. Yadaka rushes to her side, asking if she's okay. Aoi, seeing that he finally came, sarcastically asks if he can't tell her condition by looking. Yadaka can only stare at the bizarre scene before him. With the trash can still on her head, Aoi insists she is completely fine. Yadaka can only think, could have fooled me, but he's relieved she's not actually hurt. After helping her clean up the mess, they walk down the empty school hallway. Aoi thanks him for his help, and he asks if she's sure she doesn't want to go to the entrance ceremony. Yadaka pathetically explains that he doesn't want to go because if he walks in late, everyone will look at him. Aoi astutely picks up on his core issue, asking, "You don't like attention?" Just the thought of being the center of attention sends Yadaka into a fit of trembling. He compares himself to a supercharged washing machine, shaking uncontrollably from head to toe. Aoi bursts into laughter at the ridiculous sight. "How are you shaking so bad?" she exclaims, pointing out that his dramatic shaking is actually drawing more attention to him. As they continue walking, Aoi grows thoughtful. She confesses that she sometimes feels like things are too convenient, or that people do dumb things for her benefit. Yadaka wonders if she's starting to notice the truth of her situation. Unbeknownst to her, the public safety ninja had been watching over Aoi since she was young, fabricating a normal life for her. She may be subconsciously picking up on how artificial it all is. Yadaka silently considers her words. Perhaps Aoi's strange behavior and desire to skip the ceremony stem from a wish to escape that artificial sense of normality, to be different. Aoi then asks Yadaka why he's telling her all this. She reveals that this is the first time she's ever told anyone these feelings. Absorbed in the conversation, Yadaka is surprised when she points out he stopped shaking. Yadaka manages a small, genuine smile. Aoi seems a little disappointed that the show is over, calling it funny while it lasted, but a real connection seems to be forming between them. Aoi tells a worried Yadaka not to be so loud, reassuring him they won't get in trouble. She confidently states she isn't walking around without a plan, just as she runs off ahead of him. Just as Aoi boasts about paying attention to her surroundings, she slams face first into a teacher rounding the corner. Yadaka flinches as the man's clipboard goes flying. Aoi falls to the floor while the teacher, an imposing man with a beard named Nakamura, scolds her. "You scared me," she retorts, telling him he should pay attention. He asks what 2 first years are doing here when the ceremony has started. Yadaka awkwardly pats Aoi's head. Nakamura orders them to go to the ceremony and report to the staff office after asking for their names. Aoi confidently gives her name and class. Yadaka nervously gives his cover name, Yunozoki, and his class. As he takes down their names, Nakamura's sinister, true intentions are revealed. His plan is to knock out the target, Aoi, and get her in his car. He clicks his pen, preparing to strike. In a flash, as Nakamura turns, he attempts to jab Yadaka in the neck with a pen. But Yadaka's ninja reflexes are faster. He catches the pen and delivers a powerful strike to Nakamura's neck, instantly neutralizing the threat. Yadaka feels a small prick in his neck, realizing the pen's tip was a syringe. As his superior immediately demands an update, Yadaka already begins to analyze the new threat. He coolly reports that he was injected with a tranquilizer, but that drugs won't work on him. Nakamura, stunned on the floor, can only stare in disbelief at Yadaka's resilience, confirming he is not an ally. Yadaka quickly confirms with his superior if there are any public safety ninja disguised as a teacher named Nakamura. The answer is no. Yadaka sweats, realizing it's painfully obvious this man is an enemy. The order comes in loud and clear through his earpiece. Eliminate him before the assignment notices, Yadaka. Yadaka gives a nervous Roger that, as he sizes up the threat. Nakamura, recovering from the first blow, gets to his feet and demands to know who Yadaka is. Instead of answering, Yadaka lunges forward, launching a powerful open-palmed strike directly at Nakamura's chest, his eyes wide with intensity. With incredible control, Yadaka stops his palm just centimeters from Nakamura's face, the force of his intended blow rippling through the air. Before Nakamura can even process the feint, Yadaka pivots, swinging his arm around for a swift and decisive karate chop aimed at the back of his neck. But once again, Yadaka halts the attack just before impact. His eyes dart nervously over his shoulder as Aoi calls out from down the hall, "Hey, are you coming?" Nakamura stares in disbelief as Yadaka rushes past him with a quick, "Oh sorry," hurrying to catch up with the oblivious Aoi. Aoi wonders why the teacher suddenly stopped. Nakamura, however, understands perfectly. Yadaka is trying to hide his identity from the girl. Yadaka frets, caught between his mission and his target's presence. Yadaka's eyes narrow with focus. He understands the gravity of the situation. An enemy has made a move, and he must act without revealing his purpose to Aoi. Nakamura tries to press his advantage, but Yadaka blocks his path. The enemy ninja realizes he's safe as long as the girl is watching. Yadaka trembles with anxiety, while Aoi cluelessly asks him what's wrong. Seeing his opportunity, Nakamura tries to make a break for it, yelling at the two students to head to the ceremony. But Yadaka sees right through the act, knowing the enemy intends to escape. While Aoi thinks they're off the hook, Yadaka quickly makes an excuse, telling her he needs to make a pit stop at the bathroom. It's the perfect pretext to pursue his target. As Nakamura flees down the hall, he curses his luck. This was supposed to be a simple kidnapping. He recalls the rumors he's heard about the public safety force and the monsters they employ. His escape is cut short as Yadaka suddenly appears perched silently above the doorframe in front of him. Nakamura realizes he's cornered by one of the monsters he'd heard about, a ninja. Stunned, Nakamura asks how he got up there. Yadaka nonchalantly apologizes for running in the halls and tells Aoi, who is now in the washroom, that he's not a real teacher, so she can ignore the school rules. Cornered, Nakamura tries to reason with Yadaka, telling him something isn't right with Aoi. He reveals that she has a price on her head in the underworld and has no parents or siblings. The enemy ninja drives his point home. Aoi is completely on her own. Nobody will help her. The words hang in the air as Yadaka listens intently. Yadaka finally understands. It's because of people like Nakamura that Aoi feels her life is artificial. He flashes back to his own lonely past, surrounded by defeated foes, and empathizes with what it's like to be on your own. Nakamura changes tactics, resorting to bribery. He asks how much Yadaka is being paid and offers to double or even triple it if he joined his organization. Yadaka calmly raises a finger to his lips, silencing the enemy. It's not about the money, he states simply. In a blur of motion, Yadaka throws the tranquilizer pen past Nakamura's head, embedding it in the wall as a distraction. He vanishes from sight, leaving the enemy confused. You probably wouldn't understand, Yadaka's voice echoes. Appearing from above, Yadaka delivers a powerful, flying kick directly to Nakamura's head, ending the confrontation for good. As he lands, Yadaka reveals his true, comically selfish reason for refusing the offer. If he joined a new organization, he'd have to meet new people and answer questions about where he came from. He couldn't handle the social pressure. Looking down at the unconscious Nakamura, Yadaka reflects on his duty. It's not just about avoiding social pressure. It's about his conviction that nobody is truly alone. The nation has our backs, he concludes, reaffirming his commitment. After the eventful entrance ceremony, the first day of school comes to a close, and students begin to head home. Back in the classroom, Kana asks Aoi if she wants to walk home together. Aoi politely declines, explaining that she's getting picked up. She then spots Yadaka packing his bag and calls out to him. Aoi calls out, "Hey," making the already anxious Yadaka flinch. It seems she has something to say to him before she leaves, as Kana and Taki watch with interest. In the hallway, Aoi gets straight to the point, asking Yadaka if he's interested in making friends. Caught completely off guard, he can only stammer out a flustered, maybe. Closing the distance between them, Aoi looks him in the eye and asks an even more direct question. "Then want to be friends with me?" Yadaka is so shocked he can barely process the words. Watching from the classroom doorway, Taki whispers to Kana that there must be something seriously wrong with Aoi for her to be so forward. Aoi tells Yadaka that it's fine if he wants to be a loner, giving him an out. Yadaka is internally conflicted. He thinks, "I'm not." His entire life has been dedicated to being a shinobi living in the shadows, and making friends goes against everything he's been taught. He panics, frantically asking his superior for guidance. His ninja training taught him to forge no ties, but just as he's about to refuse, a new shocking order comes through his earpiece: befriend her. Caught between his lifelong training and a direct order from his superior, not to mention Aoi's expectant face, Yadaka is completely overwhelmed. He finally stammers, let me think about it, leaving his future relationship with Aoi uncertain as the chapter comes to a close. Bokwa title panel. Continuing from the last chapter, we see Yadaka, a public safety ninja, perched on a skyscraper. His current mission is so secret that he must not even reveal it to the person he is assigned to protect. However, Yadaka faces a problem. The person he must protect, a girl named Aoi Mukai, has just asked him to be friends. For a skilled ninja, this should be simple. But Yadaka is hopeless when it comes to human interaction, and all he can do is stammer that he needs to think about it. As he walks away, his operator, a mysterious woman known only as Number 9, immediately scolds him through his earpiece, questioning why he didn't just say yes and befriend Aoi. The pressure mounts on Yadaka. He wonders if he can really pull this off, but number 9 is relentless, asking him bluntly if he really thinks failure is an option. Number 9 continues to press him, asking if he'd rather spend his few days off hanging out with her. From Yadaka's perspective, this is clearly not a desirable alternative. He retorts that spending a day with her sounds exhausting. Number 9 is taken aback by his directness, but Yadaka insists she's just being mean now. Number 9 gets back to business, reminding Yadaka that this is a mission because Aoi is in constant danger. Just then, Aoi herself appears, cheerfully greeting Yadaka. Yadaka is shocked to see Aoi looking like a mess, with leaves stuck in her hair. She waves nonchalantly, explaining she had a little brush with a bush and even put her shoes on the wrong feet. Yadaka can't believe how clumsy she is. Aoi smiles and says she's fine. Yadaka tries to convince himself to not get involved, thinking she must be all right. She says she's heading to the nurse's office, but Yadaka, against his better judgment, can't help but ask again if she's really sure she's okay. Aoi turns back, then suddenly invites him to eat lunch together in the yard. As she says this, number 9's voice in his ear tells him this is the perfect chance to deepen his bond with the assignment. Yadaka is completely stunned into silence by the unexpected invitation. He descends into a full-blown panic. To him, having lunch with a girl is a disaster, made even worse by the fact that his lunch is just leftovers from the previous night's dinner. Yadaka waits alone in the schoolyard, remembering Aoi's instructions to go ahead while she buys drinks. The pressure is almost unbearable for him, and number 9's voice chimes in, painfully pointing out what a lonely life he leads. He sinks into his thoughts, admitting that he's afraid of bonding with others because he's terrified of eventually disappointing them. He concludes that if he keeps his distance from the start, then no one can get hurt. It's a sad justification for his isolation, driven by his personality and inability to talk to people. The scene flashes to an image of him in his ninja gear. He tells himself that even without friends, he still has his job. This is the life he knows. Number 9's voice cuts through his thoughts, calling him conceited. She argues that he can't disappoint anyone because he's never gotten to know anyone well enough, and no one has any interest in him anyway. Yadaka is left confused. She tells him to stop worrying about disappointing people and just focus on his job as a ninja, which is to make a friend in the first place. Her words snap him back to reality. He remembers Aoi asked him to find a spot for them to eat. As he wonders where to go, he clumsily knocks over a bottle on the ground. The bottle belongs to a group of delinquents. Yadaka immediately panics and starts apologizing profusely, which only seems to amuse them. Sensing an easy mark, the delinquents surround Yadaka. Their leader demands to know how he'll make it up to them, then throws out an outrageous number, 30,000 yen. He leans in menacingly, asking if Yadaka is going to pay him back. Yadaka is trapped in a social nightmare. In his ear, number 9 warns him not to engage with civilians, adding that he's about to disappoint her. Too timid to just walk away, and terrified of the confrontation, Yadaka meekly asks if they would consider taking payments in installments. The bullies demand to see his wallet. Yadaka explains that as a strategy, he doesn't carry cash precisely so no one can steal it. The bullies check and, to their surprise, find his wallet is completely empty. Just as the tension escalates, Aoi comes into view, holding the drink she bought. Yadaka is horrified. His internal monologue screams at him to hide, terrified of how disappointed his assignment will be to see him in such a pathetic situation. But it's too late. She's spotted him surrounded by the delinquents. For Yadaka, this is the worst possible moment, and he internally laments that he didn't want her to see him like this. Stepping forward, Aoi calmly tells the bullies to cut it out, declaring that Yadaka is her friend. The delinquents laugh, mocking him and asking Aoi why she would ever want to be friends with such an embarrassment. Yadaka flinches at the insult, but Aoi looks the bully dead in the eye and, to Yadaka's utter astonishment, states firmly, he's not embarrassing. She even giggles slightly, adding, I think he's funny. The lead bully is stunned into silence, unable to process her confident defense of the timid Yadaka. The bully, angered by her response, starts to get aggressive. But Aoi, with a nervous smile, seems to accidentally bump into him as she passes by. The impact causes the bully to stumble and knock Aoi's lunchbox into the air. Yadaka can only watch in shock as the food she prepared goes flying. The bully and his friends erupt in laughter, mockingly apologizing and saying his hand slipped. They think it's hilarious, callously remarking how cruel it is to treat a first year that way. Oi looks down at her ruined lunch. She quietly says that this doesn't bode well, as she had made it specifically because she wanted to eat with someone today. Seeing this, something inside Yadaka snaps. Onlooking students begin to whisper, wondering if they should call a teacher. The lead bully, enjoying the attention, menacingly leans toward Aoi and asks if she's got something to say. Before the bully can intimidate her further, the hand clamps down firmly on his shoulder. It's Yadaka, his expression now completely serious. The bully is shocked by Yadaka's sudden change in demeanor. He tries to shrug off the hand but finds that Yadaka's grip is like steel, he's not budging an inch. As the bully cries out in pain, Number 9's voice echoes in Yadaka's mind, reminding him not to butt heads with civilians. But Yadaka's resolve is firm. His mission is to become friends with Aoi, and he decides he can't back down now. With a newfound determination in his eyes, Yadaka declares that in this case, this is his duty as her friend. The bully is enraged, and even Aoi tells him to stop, fearing a fight is about to break out. But instead of throwing a punch, Yadaka does the unexpected. He bursts into a loud comical wail and starts running away like a coward. As he runs, he accidentally trips the lead bully, sending the larger boy tumbling forward. The bully hits the ground hard, and as he falls, a loud ripping sound is heard. The other students are confused by what just happened. The onlookers erupt in laughter, mocking the bully for getting taken down by a first year. Yadaka explains his ninja technique, the art of all assault, where he uses anything on hand as a weapon. His weapon of choice? A simple plastic divider from a lunchbox. He reveals that he used its sharp edge to slice the seam of the bully's pants right open. Quick thinking, though perhaps a bit unhygienic. By exposing his underwear, the bully has lost all dignity, and the fight is over before it even began. Humiliated, the delinquents make a hasty retreat. Yadaka reflects that he didn't butt heads with him directly, he just made him the butt of a joke. Aoi rushes over to Yadaka, asking if he's okay. Startled, he stammers a yes as she apologizes, feeling responsible for the trouble he got into. Looking at her spilled food, Aoi casually invokes the 5-second rule, preparing to eat it off the ground. Yadaka is internally horrified. But as they sit together, he finally lets out a genuine laugh, wondering why he was so scared before. As they sit on the grassy hill together, Aoi looks over at Yadaka and says plainly, "I want to be friends too." She clarifies that she's answering his non-response from the previous day. Yadaka is flustered, but she simply says bet, sealing their new friendship. For her, it's no longer about any mission, it's a genuine connection. As they sit together, Yadaka keeps trying to stop her from eating the dirty food, but Aoi keeps asking if it's okay, even if she washes it. And as he answers her, Yadaka realizes that his mission has changed. He doesn't just have to protect her anymore. Now, he genuinely wants to get to know her. The chapter begins with a menacing figure noting that the heroes aren't the only ones with undercover agents. In another room, a captured man learns that his target, Oi Mukai, is being protected by public safety. At school, Yadaka, currently undercover as Nozuki, is reminded of the warning from the man apprehended on his first day. "We've got some too. You'd best watch yourselves." Yadaka is consumed by worry. The thought that enemies could be hiding anywhere, ready to strike at Aoi, is a struggle for him. But his social anxiety twists this into a different fear. Anyone could start talking to him at any moment. He quickly shuts the classroom door, stealing his resolve. He tells himself not to worry, and that he will protect the assignment by acting as Aoi's friend. Just then his target, the cheerful Oi Mukai, startles him by calling out his undercover name, Nozuki. She excitedly tells him that a group of them are planning to go to karaoke. Yadaka immediately refuses, but Aoi laughingly informs him it's too late. She's already told everyone that the two of them are going together. Being dragged into a group social event is Yadaka's worst nightmare, and he lets out a silent, internal scream of terror. As they walk, one of Aoi's friends, Kana Fujimiya, notes how well Aoi and Yadaka have blended in. Aoi boasts that she'll dazzle everyone with her tambourine skills, but all Yadaka can feel is absolute terror. Another classmate startles Yadaka, asking how he got so close to Aoi. He reveals that when Aoi was invited, she didn't hesitate to ask if she could bring Yadaka along. Hearing this, a horrifying realization dawns on Yadaka. He believes Aoi is toying with him, intentionally putting him in this uncomfortable situation just to watch him squirm. His handler informs him via earpiece that this is a great opportunity. The other ninjas protecting Aoi have already integrated into the group. Taki Utsumi, codename Omaniko, and Kana Fujimiya, codename Hibari. The handler advises him that going it alone will be difficult. He needs to attempt to get closer to his new teammates, even if the connection is only superficial. Yadaka panics over what to talk about, ruling out top-secret ninja stuff. Just then, Taki Utsumi starts a conversation, asking if he goes to karaoke a lot, which only makes Yadaka more flustered. Taki casually mentions he hasn't been in a while because of tests. Kana also joins in, asking Yadaka if he has any good songs ready. As Yadaka stammers, Kana cheerfully decides to make her song choice a surprise for when they get there. The others continue their lighthearted chat about competing for the best score, but Yadaka feels completely left out, unable to keep up with the conversation despite his teammates' efforts to include him. As the group walks along the sidewalk, a large truck suddenly speeds past them, narrowly missing them. The three ninjas, Taki, Kana, and Yadaka, all glance back with suspicion. Inside the truck, a group of thugs led by a man known as Black Pig has spotted their target. They plan to tail Aoi and grab her when she's alone. The group arrives at the karaoke bar. While Aoi is excited about using the tambourine, Yadaka sits miserably with a pair of maracas, clearly not enjoying himself. Aoi heads to the bathroom with a friend. Taki watches them go and turns to Yadaka using his real code name for the first time. Yadaka, you sensed an enemy too, didn't you? Taki quickly formulates a plan. He instructs Yadaka to pretend to get a towel from the front desk after he creates a diversion, and then join Kana. As planned, Taki accidentally knocks over a glass of water, creating a commotion and apologizing loudly for the mess. Playing his part, a flustered Yadaka volunteers to go to the front desk to get a towel, giving him an excuse to leave the room. As he walks down the hall, Yadaka marvels at how different his teammates act in their civilian personas. He realizes they are true experts at infiltration, completely concealing their deadly skills to seamlessly blend in with the class. He contacts his handler, his thoughts turning to Kana's situation. At that very moment, the thugs from the truck are lying in wait outside the women's restroom. With Aoi accompanied by another girl, they decide to capture them both to ensure there are no witnesses. Inside the restroom, Kana Fujimiya confronts the thugs. Her demeanor shifts entirely as she takes off her glasses, an intimidating grin spreading across her face. She coldly informs the intruders that they have entered the little girl's room. Laying her hair down, Kana unleashes a wild, taunting laugh. She dares the thugs to come at her, effectively challenging them to a fight. Yadaka finally arrives at the hallway outside the restroom, but he stops dead in his tracks, shocked by the intense scene unfolding before him. As Kana single-handedly takes down the thugs, Yadaka's handler explains over the comms that this is the real Hibari, a ninja specialized for combat whose transformation surprises even him. With the threat neutralized, Kana furiously turns on Yadaka, yelling that he's late and asking if he wants to end up like the unconscious thugs on the floor. A terrified Yadaka can only apologize. Kana calmly orders Yadaka to open the window to air the place out. Through his earpiece, he gets an alert that their assignment, Aoi, is on the move, meaning she is approaching their location. To Yadaka's astonishment, Kana effortlessly disposes of the evidence by throwing all three unconscious thugs out of the open window. Just as the last thug is tossed out, Aoi appears in the hallway. Yadaka, seeing the fight is already over, wonders what he's even supposed to do now. Aoi innocently asks if he's going to the bathroom too. Yadaka panics, realizing in his haste he never put down the maracas from the karaoke room. Aoi mentions that it sounded like there was a commotion. Still shaking from the adrenaline, Yadaka frantically denies hearing anything, trying to play it cool. After composing himself slightly, Yadaka finally works up the courage to ask Aoi a question that's been bothering him. Why did she invite him? Aoi smiles warmly and gives her honest reason. She explains that she doesn't know anyone and would be lonely by herself, confessing that she needed him there with her. Yadaka is stunned by her sincerity. He admits that he thought she had invited him just to watch him squirm, a thought Aoi seems to have had about herself as well. Down on the street, Kana looks at the pile of thugs she threw from the window, annoyed that there were only 3. She realizes she left one of them, the leader, back up in the hallway. His handler warns him that they aren't in the clear yet. Having seen the remaining thug, Yadaka confirms he's noticed the lingering threat. Hiding down the hall, the last thug is terrified of Kana, calling her a monster. He decides to take out Yadaka and just make off with Aoi. The thug makes his move, charging down the hallway. Yadaka realizes he's too close to Aoi to engage in combat safely and needs a decoy to draw the enemy's attention. Right on cue, Taki Utsumi appears, nonchalantly claiming he spilled a drink and needs to wash it off. His sudden arrival provides the perfect distraction. As the thug charges, Taki calmly intercepts him. He presents the neutralized enemy to Aoi as if showing off a messy stain, leaving her and Yadaka speechless. Seizing the opportunity, Yadaka uses his maracas, shaking them violently right beside the thug's ears to incapacitate him with the jarring sound. Yadaka awkwardly explains to his confused teammates that he was just practicing his maraca serenade. Meanwhile, the last thug is sent flying out the window, joining his comrades below. Completely oblivious to the danger she was in, laughs, thinking it's all a game. She tells Yadaka that he can't beat her tambourine skills, while her 3 ninja protectors look on. As the group heads back to their karaoke room, Taki praises Yadaka, telling him it was great job working together for the first time. He looks back at his comrades and declares, "You make a good team." The new chapter begins in the classroom, where Oi Mukai cheerfully suggests a trial. Her classmates mention that it's the trial period for school clubs. For the socially anxious Yadaka, however, the word trial takes on a completely different meaning. He internally panics, thinking of it as a trial of loneliness. Aoi tries to calm him down, explaining they're just talking about school clubs. But Yadaka is already spiraling, convinced he'll never be accepted in a club built on relationships. Later, Yadaka is back on duty, secretly communicating with his handler. He watches a classmate put up a poster as he gives his report on the assignment surroundings since the karaoke attack. He spots a concert band club poster. His ninja instincts kicking in, Yadaka expertly flicks a pushpin, sticking it perfectly to the poster, while concluding his report that he hasn't seen any suspicious people. His handler immediately scolds him for the unnecessary display of skill. Yadaka is shocked, realizing he treated the pushpin like a kunai, a move that is obviously not allowed while undercover. Yadaka ignores the scolding and continues his report, asking his handler who is after the assignment. The handler replies that the information is confidential. The handler explains that even in the ninja world, there are fugitive ninjas who sell information or defect. There's no telling who might defect or when. Unfazed, Yadaka declares that he would never defect and comically pleads to keep his job forever. His handler tells him to just stop. Just then, Oi appears, having just come from the student store. She asks Yadaka if he wants to go home, catching him off guard. He mutters about her not being serious about the club trial. As they stand together, a commotion occurs. A boy with messy black hair drops his bread and cries out in anguish. The boy, surprisingly cheerful, introduces himself as Miyake, a classmate. He explains that he's in the soccer club but is stuck doing errands. He offers them a candy. An aggressive upperclassman with blonde hair appears, kicking a ball at Miyake and yelling at him for being late and crushing the bread. Yadaka is still upset about the bread, while Oi looks on with a determined smile. As Miyake is dejectedly led away by the upperclassman, Oi tells a stunned Yadaka that it's time to go home and that he shouldn't get involved. The upperclassman explains their system of hazing new members with a rigged game. Aoi steps forward, confronting him and asking if he thinks he's better just because he's an upperclassman. Yadaka panics, trying to stop Aoi from escalating the situation and creating more work for him. Aoi retorts that if they have a problem with it, they should just stop losing. While Yadaka cries out in distress, Aoi ignores him and challenges the upperclassman directly, demanding they be allowed to join the club on a trial basis and have a match with her. Aoi gives the upperclassman a confident, almost menacing smile, ready to see if they've really got the stuff to stand at the top. Now changed into gym clothes, Oi rallies Yadaka and Miyake, declaring they'll make the upperclassmen eat their turds. Yadaka, caught in the middle, nervously tells himself to keep a low profile. The 4-4, first Gerwin's soccer match begins. Immediately, an upperclassman shows his poor sportsmanship by blasting the ball directly into Miyake's face. Yadaka staggers back, apologizing to a dazed Miyake. The upperclassman just mocked Miyake for his poor reaction. Aoi walks past them, unimpressed, and comments on how bad the upperclassmen are. Yadaka watches her, still flustered. The game continues. An upperclassman goes in for a rough tackle against Aoi, who deftly controls the ball. The upperclassman commits a blatant foul, tripping Aoi hard. As Yudaka rushes to her side, the bullies start arguing, trying to claim it was a clean play. Brushing off her scraped hands, Aoi insists she's completely fine. Yudaka, however, anxiously reminds her of the serious stakes. If they lose, they become the upperclassmen's servants. Aoi gets up determined. She refuses to lose to anyone so stuck up. Hearing this, Yudaka sighs and makes a decision. He can be a ninja as long as no one notices. Yudaka realizes that Aoi getting hurt has put the assignment in danger. With his eyes glowing with intensity, he decides to intervene, just once, and targets one of the upperclassmen. Yudaka unleashes his skills, kicking the ball hard into the bully's face. As the ball ricochets into the air, Aoi gets into position, ready for the follow-up. Aoi skillfully kicks the ball towards Make, who dives for a header. Unfortunately, he completely misses the shot, and the upperclassmen laugh at his failure. But with a wild look in his eyes, Yudaka declares that it's not over yet and sprints into action. Miyake dives for the ball again. As it nears his head, it suddenly gains a mysterious, powerful boost, streaking past him with incredible speed. The supercharged ball blasts past the goalie and smashes into the net. Goal. Aoi and Miyake celebrate their victory, but they are both confused as to why the ball suddenly sped up. Miyake, still on the ground, is in disbelief. Miyake asks Yudaka what he did. Yudaka holds up the candy Miyake gave him earlier, explaining that the basic principles are the same as throwing a kunai. He reveals his secret. He hit the ball with a piece of candy to give it a speed boost. Miyake is horrified when Yudaka says he'll wash the candy and eat it later so the gift doesn't go to waste. The team celebrates their win with a high five. Yudaka watches his happy teammates, a small smile on his face. Miyake calls Yudaka a simple guy. For a brief moment, Yudaka thinks to himself that clubs might not be so bad after all. After the game, a cheerful Miyake celebrates that the upperclassmen had to eat turds. Now that they've won, Aoi decides they should quit the club. As Miyake waves goodbye, he thanks Yudaka for the help. Then, his expression changes as he says chillingly, "Yes, there really was a ninja." Miyake's internal monologue reveals his true thoughts. He thinks that public safety must be involved, which explains their failures. He scoffs that Yudaka is bottom of the barrel and was easy to approach. All the while, Aoi and Yudaka walk away, completely oblivious to the danger. The chapter ends with a shocking reveal. Miyake's face twists into a sinister grin, his eyes glowing. He reveals that ninja slaying is a fugitive ninja's specialty and that they can just kidnap the girl later. On a rainy morning, a mysterious figure walks down the street, musing that there are 3 ninjas protecting his target, Oimukai. He relishes the downpour, considering it perfect whether to pick them off one by one and complete his mission to kidnap her. The scene transitions to the front of a school, where students are arriving under their umbrellas. The same mysterious figure stands before them, thinking to himself that this is the best kind of day for an assassination. Inside, Yudaka stares out the window at the rain. His friend Nozuki greets him, remarking that Yudaka seems to enjoy the gloomy weather. Just then, a cheerful first-year student with glasses, Kana Fujimiya, pops in to say good morning. Suddenly, Kana Fujimiya's friendly demeanor vanishes. Her face turns intensely serious as she grabs Yudaka, telling him to come with her for a second. Her code name is revealed, Hibari. As Hibari leads a confused Yudaka away, he internally reflects that she's here on the same mission as him, but he shouldn't need to interact with her. Elsewhere, Nozuki wonders what she could possibly want. As Kana Fujimiya walks down the hallway, she is greeted warmly by other students who compliment her hair. She seems flustered by the attention, wondering what someone like her could possibly want with her. Hibari takes Yudaka to a quiet staircase landing. As she prepares to speak, they are interrupted by Nozuki, who awkwardly greets them. With a determined look, Hibari turns to Yudaka and makes a startling request. She needs him to teach her how to connect with other people. Yudaka is utterly shocked, exclaiming if she has lost her mind. Hibari claims that Yudaka is a natural at socializing, a statement that only flusters him more. He reflects on the nature of undercover ninjas, who may excel at infiltration but can only maintain superficial relationships. Yudaka has a horrifying realization. Since Oimukai is Hibari's one and only friend, it means that this constitutes the best personal relationship she has managed to form as a ninja. Hibari desperately lists her social achievements, from finding gifts in her shoe cubby to going shopping with friends and even being recommended as class rep. Yadaka can only remark that it sounds like she's living the high school dream, oblivious to her distress. Yadaka is incredulous, demanding to know how she even got close to Aoi. He clenches his fist in frustration, lamenting that his job is to protect Aoi as her best friend, yet she doesn't seem to care about him at all. Completely lost, Yadaka admits he has no clue how to build relationships. He flashes back to various moments with Aoi Mukai, where she seems happy and engaged with him. Hibari, growing more desperate, repeats her plea with intensity, begging Yadaka to teach her his ways. Yadaka can only respond with a stunned, Just then, another classmate, a girl with dark hair, approaches and asks Kana if she's free after school. Hibari lets out a sigh of relief. Hibari struggles to respond, forcing a strained smile as she says she's free. The other girl looks concerned, noting that Hibari doesn't seem like herself and asking what's wrong. The classmate asks if Hibari wants to try a limited edition item she mentioned before. Hibari agrees, though she seems uninterested. As they walk off, Hibari desperately whispers to Yadaka, asking if she's doing it right, leaving him to lament about his strange predicament. A moment later, Aoi Mukai herself appears and asks Yadaka if he's free after school. Stunned, Yadaka replies that he is. Aoi explains that she needs to attend a chemistry refresher course since she hasn't done the homework and asks Yadaka to come with her. He is left speechless for a moment before she adds that she will be assigned to one anyway. Overjoyed, Yadaka thinks to himself that Aoi is the best. He mimics Hibari's earlier line, agreeing to go with her even though he's not particularly interested. From the staircase, Hibari watches them go. Yadaka glances back, thinking that he wishes he could be like her, with lots of friends, and questions if she really needs a change. Hibari shatters Yadaka's perception, stating that their classmates are not really friends and could even be enemies. Yadaka is shocked and angered by her cold logic, retorting that a ninja's job is to protect people and that she could never leave them to die. Back in the classroom, the girl from before reminds Kana that she's on duty to turn in assignments. Hibari is thrown into a panic, wondering which persona is the right one. She snaps aggressively at the girl, who recoils in fear. The classmate looks terrified and asks if Hibari is okay. Forcing her friendly mask back on, Hibari quickly reassures the girl she's fine, takes the assignments, and hurries off toward the science room. Upon arriving, Hibari finds the science room door is locked. Just as she wonders what to do, the very same assassin from the beginning of the chapter appears, casually holding up the key. He claims he was on duty and just remembered he had to submit his own work. The assassin unlocks the door, and as Hibari steps inside wondering where to leave the papers, he quietly locks it behind her. The sound of the click alerts Hibari, and she turns around with a start. The assassin lunges, grabbing at Hibari from behind. She reacts with shock, twisting away as he attacks. Yadaka, who had followed her, watches as Hibari narrowly dodges the attack, which shatters a window. The assassin wonders if she was on guard, while Yadaka is stunned that this enemy was so good at blending and that neither of them noticed him. The assassin throws a powerful punch at Hibari, who ducks just in time. The force of the blow pulverizes the wall behind her. Hibari realizes the assassin is much faster than he looks. With her left arm busted, she decides to retreat and let the other ninja handle him. As she makes a run for it, the assassin mocks her for being quick. To her horror, Hibari stops in her tracks. The classmate who asked her out earlier has followed her into the room and is now standing there, completely bewildered. Hibari panics, wondering what her classmate is doing here. The assassin, annoyed at the complication, reveals a set of sharp claws, complaining that he now has another mess to clean up in a place he chose for its seclusion. Hibari feels hopeless, believing she can't possibly fight the assassin and protect her classmate. She thinks she has to leave her behind. The oblivious girl, however, simply points out that Hibari's nose is bleeding. Yadaka's voice rings in her memory, and you could never leave them to die, Hibari. As this thought crosses her mind, the assassin lunges forward to attack. In a split-second decision, Hibari abandons her plan to escape and instead shoves her terrified classmate out of the path of the assassin's attack. Hibari shields the girl, apologizing that she had to see this. She blocks the assassin's claws with her bare hand. The assassin is taken aback, questioning why she didn't just abandon her. Hibari checks on her classmate, who is dazed but safe. Realizing she can't just pick her up and run, she grimly states that apparently, protecting others is part of the job. Then, something in Hibari snaps. She takes off her glasses, and her entire demeanor changes. A bloody, psychotic grin spreads across her face as she tells the assassin this will make things more interesting, and that she'll take him on with just one arm. The assassin looks on in disbelief. With a crazed look in her eyes, Hibari taunts him, asking if he seriously thinks they're even on the same playing field. To be continued. In the school hallway, a tense confrontation unfolds. Hibari, with a crazed look in her eyes, scoffs at Kana, questioning if they're even in the same league. In response, Kana, with a defiant glare, confidently declares she could take Hibari on with just one arm. Bokwa ditope. As Kana leaps back to create distance, Hibari's thoughts race. She plans to report the situation, but her mind is already on a greater threat, believing an enemy is present to eliminate the bodyguards before going after the main assignment. Hibari deftly plucks the communicator from Kana's ear, asking mockingly if she can borrow it. Kana looks on, completely caught off guard by the sudden move. Elsewhere, Yadaka talks on the phone, expressing his concern about Hibari's anger. He questions his contact about whether other ninjas use similar communication devices. Yadaka is informed that the communicators are mandatory for tracking locations during emergencies. He panics as he realizes the implications, asking if his contact was even listening to his concerns. Back in the hallway, Hibari stands over a rattled Kana, revealing that she knows about their communicators and directly asking if she's a ninja. Hibari then adds a twist, stating she herself was a ninja until she got out. The weight of the situation crashes down on Kana. She realizes she's in a terrible position, unable to contact anyone, injured, with a civilian to protect, and facing a formidable fugitive ninja. Hibari mocks their attempts at blending in, calling their acting painful to watch. Confident that she has the upper hand, she announces it's time to end things quickly. Kana, now completely flustered and offended, questions what exactly was so painful about her acting. A flashback shows Kana's over-the-top, cheerful greeting to her classmates, a prime example of her unnatural performance. Hibari continues her scathing review, comparing Kana's persona to a character from a children's educational program. The critique continues with another flashback. Hibari recalls when Kana playfully gave a classmate a forehead poke, an act that clearly disgusted her. Hibari isn't finished. She brings up the time Kana tripped during gym class, noting that her attempt to be adorable didn't seem realistic at all. In another flashback, Kana is seen striking a cutesy tee-hee pose after tripping in the gym, playing up the clumsiness. Humiliated, Kana collapses to the floor as Hibari demands she stop. Hibari, now holding a set of claws, mockingly repeats Kana's tee-hee, questioning how she's supposed to know how to act cute. Hibari throws a shuriken that narrowly misses the civilian girl Kana is protecting. She coldly informs Kana that her method of protection is also wrong. With a menacing look, Hibari declares Kana a failure as a ninja. She insists that for the sake of the mission, Kana should have abandoned the civilian and run. Refusing to back down, Kana shouts back defiantly that she is allowed to save whoever she wants, rejecting Hibari's ruthless logic. Hibari lunges forward, not at Kana, but past her, throwing another projectile with incredible speed. Kana's mind flashes back to her training. She remembers her master's stern words. Completing the mission is the absolute priority, and she must not act outside its confines. The memory continues, with her blindfolded master explaining that ninjas work for a greater cause, and therefore must ignore minor details like individual lives. A young Kana listens, confused. In the present, Yadaka's voice cuts through, expressing a completely different philosophy. It's a ninja's job to protect people. Slumped against the wall, Kana tells Yadaka to save the lecture. She bitterly admits that she already knew she couldn't win while protecting the girl. However, a fire reignites within her. Pushing herself up, Kana declares she's fine right where she is, fighting for a bigger goal without sacrificing the details. As Hibari scoffs that ideals won't help her advance, Kana readies herself for another clash, retorting, "Then who cares about advancement?" In response to Hibari's taunts, Kana lunges forward. She blocks a strike from Hibari, who is now wielding a pipe. Thinking fast, Kana grabs a stack of papers and throws them into the air, creating a chaotic scream to mask her next move as she unleashes a powerful scream. For a moment, Hibari is blinded by the flurry of papers, realizing too late that Kana has used them to obscure her vision for a stealth attack. Kana bursts through the paper cloud, throwing a powerful punch. However, her target isn't Hibari. To Hibari's surprise, Kana tackles Yadaka instead, taking him completely by surprise. Yadaka effortlessly stops Kana's attack, telling her it's enough before tossing her to the ground. As Kana pleads that she's at her limit, Hibari coldly remarks that her ideals couldn't save anyone. Yadaka confirms, one down. As Yadaka stands over the defeated Kana, a rattling sound comes from a nearby restroom door. The civilian girl inside says the door is locked and asks if they can break it open for her. Before Yadaka can react, a new figure with orange hair suddenly appears, sending Yadaka flying with a powerful kick and yelling, "Not like that." The newcomer then immediately seems to question his own aggressive action. Yadaka lies stunned amidst the wreckage of the wall, wondering what just hit him. From the floor, Kana remarks on how quick the attack was. A close-up reveals the newcomer is speaking into his communicator, reporting that he has arrived at the location where Hibari's own communicator stopped working. A flashback reveals the truth of the situation. The fight was a coordinated deception. Kana's tackle was a distraction, allowing Hibari to snatch the communicator from Yadaka. He finally understands that the device was her true target all along. As the realization dawns on Yadaka, he looks over at Kana, who has dropped her serious demeanor. She gives him a playful wink and a tee-hee, cheekily confirming her role in the elaborate ruse. The newcomer announces that he has eyes on the situation and is officially taking over from Hibari. Yadaka looks up from the floor, understanding that the mission has just taken another dangerous turn, and he's the next target. Shinobi Undercover, Chapter 7, as a ninja. Continuing from the last chapter, the fight begins. Yadaka first mistakes the attacker for someone named Nozuka, but then recognizes him as Miyake. From the side, Hibari shouts a desperate warning that Miyake is an enemy. With incredible force, Yadaka sends Miyake flying through the classroom's glass door. Below, Hibari recovers from the initial chaos while Yadaka lands gracefully after his powerful attack. Miyake stands up amidst the broken glass, pulling out two short blades. He coolly admits that with this commotion, his assassination attempt is now a failure, as all the ninja in the area have likely been alerted. With a crazed look in his eyes, Miyake turns his attention to the two students. Since his main mission has failed, he decides he'll just take care of Yadaka and Hibari instead. Panicked, Hibari uses her communication device to contact her operator. On the other end, the operator, hearing Hibari's frantic calls, asks what's happening. Hibari reports to her operator that an enemy has been hiding among their classmates. She confirms it was Miyake, and that he is a fugitive ninja. As Miyake prepares to fight, Yadaka's main concern is the state of the classrooms, wondering what they'll do when classes start after lunch. Miyake mocks him, stating that if there's one thing a third-rate ninja is good at, it's dodging. Miyake lunges at Yadaka, taunting him for his composed act and asking if he really cares more about the classrooms than his own life. The two boys face off. Miyake sarcastically calls Yadaka the cream of the crop. Meanwhile, Hibari explains to the operator that deserting is the greatest ninja taboo, and only the best, most troublesome ninjas can successfully go AWOL. Yadaka decides to get this over with. He lunges at Miyake, demanding to know who his target is and who gave him his orders. Miyake casually dodges Yadaka's attack and tells him to ask Oi Mukai herself, suggesting she knows more than he does. Yadaka argues that Hibari was at a disadvantage while protecting a student, but Miyake dismisses it, saying it was her own weakness that prevented a fair fight. He asks Yadaka if making excuses for her isn't embarrassing for a ninja. Yadaka, with a serious expression, retorts that Miyake's words don't mean much, coming from a fugitive ninja who abandoned his own duties. Realizing he got too heated, Yadaka sheepishly apologizes. He explains that hearing a fugitive ninja talk about what a ninja should or shouldn't do just made him do a double take. Miyake seems annoyed by the apology. Miyake lectures Yadaka, asking if he understands how impressive it is that he survived as a fugitive ninja until now. He states that a normal ninja wouldn't be able to do that, and that Yadaka should take good advice no matter who it's from. Having lost the war of words, Yadaka looks downcast and simply says that he understands. Watching from the side, a girl comments that surprisingly, Yadaka seems to be winning their argument. This observation clearly irritates Miyake, who insists that Yadaka definitely doesn't get it. Done with the conversation, Miyake declares that talking is a waste of time and leaps in for another attack. Yadaka realizes that while Hibari managed to prevent any deaths earlier, someone is about to die now. The voice from the operator cuts in, telling Yadaka that eliminating the enemy is his priority. Hearing this, Hibari makes a decision and tells the operator to switch the comms to speaker mode before declaring, "So be it." Hibari shouts to Yadaka not to worry about anything else. Seeing Yadaka momentarily distracted, Miyake spots an opening and lunges forward, yelling, "You're wide open." But Yadaka wasn't distracted. In a flash, he drops to the ground and unleashes a powerful kick from a breakdance-like stance, striking Miyake squarely in the jaw. As Miyake falls, the operator's voice explains Yadaka's nature. As a ninja, he is useless at anything except combat. His ability tanks when he's trying to multitask. Yadaka panics, internally screaming about his conflicting duties, keeping Hibari safe, preventing damage to the classroom, and figuring out what Miyake wants. The operator calmly tells Hibari to watch, noting that this is how they would have used him if the assignment hadn't approached him first. Miyake, bleeding and on his knees, acknowledges Yadaka's power, but says he is wrong. Yadaka calmly replies that the better ninja was Hibari, who followed through with her duties. The statement leaves Miyake utterly stunned, just moments before Yadaka's final move. With the fight concluded, Yadaka looks down at the mess he's made, his hands still poised from the final blow. Yadaka's attack sends Miyake flying backward through the shattered classroom window and out into the rain. As another ninja watches from a rooftop, Yadaka and Hibari look on in shock. Miyake lands hard on the wet ground below with a thud, sending a splash of water and dirt into the air. Lying on the ground, bloodied and soaked by the rain, Miyake gasps for air, his eyes wide with the shock and pain of his utter defeat. Yadaka peers out of the broken window, but the operator quickly warns him not to stick his head out, as he might be seen by other students. Still on the ground, Miyake panics, realizing that Yadaka was not the weakling he appeared to be. Staring up at the window in terror, he vows to kill him the next time they meet. Miyake stumbles to his feet and runs off into the rain. Yadaka prepares to give chase, but the operator stops him, telling him his job is done and that other agents in the city will track the injured ninja down. The operator tells Yadaka this is why she usually stops him from going all out. He apologizes, looking at the wrecked hallway. As he puts his jacket back on, he marvels at his opponent, saying Miyake is on a completely different level. Hibari watches him silently. As Yadaka turns to check on Hibari, she thinks to herself how, despite being so skilled in combat, he's useless at everything else, and yet they still put him on missions. Switching completely from his combat persona, Yadaka gives Hibari a warm, gentle smile. He apologizes for being late and tells her he's glad she is okay. Completely caught off guard by his sudden kindness and sincere apology, all Hibari can do is stare back with a blush, wide-eyed in surprise as the chapter comes to a close. Shinobi Undercover, Chapter 8, The Two After School. The scene opens in what appears to be a school infirmary or hospital room. Hibari, resting in bed, holds up an apple and asks Yadaka to peel it for her. Yadaka agrees. In a flash, he deftly wields a knife, peeling and slicing the apple with incredible speed before it even has a chance to fall. Hibari looks on, stunned by his swift movements. The apple slices, perfectly shaped like little rabbits, are presented on a plate. Yadaka explains with a smile that this is the ninja art of kamaitachi, a strike so fast no one can see what happened. He figured she'd want to eat them soon. The scene provides context. The school has been closed for days. The official story, courtesy of public safety, is that gas cylinders in the science room exploded, but this was just a cover-up for the recent ninja battle. Back in the room, Yadaka asks Hibari how she feels. Despite her arm being in a cast, she brushes it off, saying she'll heal up in a few days. Yadaka smiles, genuinely relieved. He tells her he's glad she's okay, admitting that she was the better ninja for following through with her duties. Hibari becomes flustered, trying to bring up the topic of what happened earlier with Yadaka. She explains that they found intelligence about Miyake. He left a trail at public safety. She adds that he was a ninja under her command until a year ago, codenamed Tsubame, or Sparrow. Yadaka pulls up a graduation photo of a much younger, geekier-looking Miyake on his phone. He jokes that the picture is like blackmail and that they should spread it everywhere. As Yadaka wonders why Miyake was after Aoi, Hibari tells him that since he's already faced a fugitive ninja, she'll tell him. She suggests he just ask Aoi Mukai herself. In a somber tone, Hibari reveals a shocking truth. The assignment's family, Aoi's family, was killed by a ninja. The revelation hangs heavily in the air, leaving both Hibari and a stunned Yadaka speechless. Yadaka processes the information, immediately wondering if Miyake is somehow tied to the murder of Aoi's family. Overlooking the city, Hibari voices a grave concern. If the fugitive ninjas have joined forces in the shadows, they have a big problem, as their power is well documented and completely outclasses Miyake. The scene shifts to a park, where a disheveled man in a suit sits on a bench, smoking. He sighs, lamenting that luck isn't on his side, and idly wonders if pulling on his earlobes will make them fat and lucky like Buddhas. A hooded figure, Tsubame, appears. The man on the bench, annoyed, tells Tsubame not to eavesdrop on his monologue and asks for the getaway car. Tsubame points towards a wrecked van that has crashed into a pole, stating the obvious: the getaway vehicle is totaled. The man reacts with shock. The man angrily asks what Tsubame was doing. Tsubame apologizes, explaining that Oi Mukai got away while he was distracted lighting his cigarette. Tsubame offers to report the screw-up to their higher-ups, but then adds that since the mission is already a bust, his wrecking the car doesn't matter. The man looks on in disbelief. Tsubame questions this logic, finding it wrong. This enrages the man, who looms over him menacingly, demanding to know what's wrong about it. In a display of power, a gust of wind swirls around them, sending leaves and trash flying into the air as the man asserts his dominance. He gets right in Tsubame's face, making it clear who's on top in their relationship. He declares that for fugitive ninjas, it's a ninja-eat-ninja world out there. This fugitive ninja is identified as Hachikuma. He sternly reminds Tsubame that an underling's job is to cover for his superiors, a statement Tsubame finds completely wrong, before telling him to get going. The scene cuts back to the school, where Yadaka is seen cleaning a classroom by himself after hours. He happily explains that he's covering for a classmate who had to rush off to his club activities. Yadaka seems thrilled that someone is counting on him. Through an internal monologue or a communication channel, Yadaka confirms the location of his assignment. Oi. Hibari has seen her off to the shoe cubbies, where someone is scheduled to pick her up. Yadaka's thoughts darken as he recalls the terrible news. Oi's family was murdered by a ninja. He worries about what she would think of him if she ever discovered his own identity as a ninja. He spots Aoi from a distance, walking with a friend. At the same time, he overhears two other students gossiping about him and Aoi, wondering what the deal is between them. Yadaka continues to listen to their speculation, wondering if they think he's her servant or perhaps a human shield she's using to keep creeps away. While Yadaka is lost in thought, relieved they haven't assumed anything stranger, there's a loud crash behind him. It's Hibari, who has clumsily tripped and now has a bucket on her head. Oblivious to her own state, she asks if Yadaka needs any help. As they clean up the mess together, Yadaka apologizes for making her help. Hibari explains that she overheard the baseball club members feeling guilty about leaving him with their duties, so she came. She nonchalantly adds, "Of course I'd help when you're in trouble." Leaning in, Hibari tells him she helps because they're friends. Yadaka laughs, realizing Hibari must have overheard the other students calling him a human shield earlier. He seems amused by the situation. Suddenly, their moment is interrupted as a stray baseball comes flying through the classroom window, shattering the glass pane. Reacting with his incredible ninja speed, Yadaka instantly moves to shield Hibari from the spray of broken glass, using his own body as a barrier. The immediate aftermath shows the baseball lying amidst the debris. Yadaka quickly checks if Hibari is okay, but she seems bewildered, asking what just happened, not having processed the speed of the event. In an internal report, Yadaka explains his actions. He used a small broom and dustpan to catch the flying glass in midair before it could hit his assignment, Hibari. He then spread the shards on the ground to make the scene look natural. His handler commends him for making the right call. The baseball players who hit the ball rush into the classroom, calling out to Nozuki to see if he's okay. They find Yadaka already beginning to sweep up the mess. Later, Yadaka and Aoi are seen walking home together along a riverbank. He thanks her for helping with the cleanup, though she notes that everyone ended up pitching in. He then hesitantly tries to bring something up. Mustering his courage, Yadaka earnestly promises Aoi that if she's ever in trouble, he will be there to help her. Aoi smiles brightly, waving as she cheerfully accepts his offer. As they continue walking, she playfully asks if she can see his math homework, bringing a light-hearted end to a tense day. Chapter 9, titled Uminiko's Shopping, begins with the students of Class 1A buzzing with excitement. Aoi Mukai throws her hands up in the air, exclaiming her love for high school life as a sports festival is announced. Below, her classmate, the undercover ninja Yadaka, looks on with a reserved expression. Aoi happily chats with their teacher, Mr. Nakamura. Since the first period is PE, the girls get to pick their events first. On the blackboard, the options are a mixed-gender three-legged race, a relay, tug-of-war, and a chicken fight. A classmate asks Yadaka if he's not going to complain about the sports festival, knowing his usual reserved nature. Yadaka gives a cryptic answer, stating he is merely grass that bows the direction the wind blows, meaning he'll just go along with things to not stand out. His classmate just thinks he's a fool. Aoi decides to sign herself and Kana Fujimiya up for the mixed-gender three-legged race. Meanwhile, another girl with blonde hair named Mukai doesn't have a preference. After they're signed up, Mr. Nakamura tells the girls to go get changed. Now it's the boys' turn to sign up. Mr. Nakamura tries to get volunteers for the obstacle race and the relay, but gets no takers. However, when he announces the mixed-gender three-legged race, nearly every boy in the class eagerly raises his hand. A classmate urges Yadaka, calling him the grass, to raise his hand, but Yadaka is frozen with anxiety. The thought of having to practice with a girl after school is too much for him to handle, and he breaks out in a cold sweat. Yadaka panics internally, imagining all the other boys glaring at him with murderous intent if he were to be paired with Aoi. He thinks they'd hate his guts, though an inner voice reminds him they never liked him anyway. The other boys are already playing rock, paper, scissors to settle on a partner. Suddenly, a new, highly touted student is introduced. The first-year winner, Taki Utsumi, whose code name is Uminiko. He poses confidently, ready to make his mark. Later, Yadaka and Taki are dressed in their gym clothes. Yadaka seems ready to call it a day, but Taki confidently tells him to leave the sports festival to him, implying he'll handle everything. As they walk through the school hallway, Yadaka contemplates Taki. He sees him as a cool, well-balanced guy with no shortcomings, but also recognizes that as an accomplished ninja, Taki's true thoughts are impossible to read. Inside the locker room, Taki changes his shirt, revealing a toned physique. Yadaka watches him, thinking to himself that Yadaka is supposedly the strongest ninja of their generation. He then feels a small, personal victory in the fact that he managed to talk to the great Taki for a whole 20 seconds. Yadaka is so overcome with excitement from the brief interaction that he can't hold it back, breaking into a celebratory samba-like dance in the hallway. Taki looks on, deadpan, and tells him that's enough. The scene shifts to a large shopping mall. Taki leads Aoi and a few other classmates, trying to figure out what supplies they need to buy to make a splashy banner for the sports festival. Yadaka, ever the spy, peeks around a corner, wondering what's going on. He overhears that the group is there to buy decorations, and that Taki is using the trip as an opportunity to get to know his partner for the three-legged race. Taki formally approaches his partner, Aoi. She asks him if he's fast. He coolly replies, "I'm not bad," and that he's looking forward to the race. Watching from a floor above, Yadaka feels a sudden sense of being watched himself, thinking that Yadaka, referring to his own ninja persona, is being observed. Down below, Taki also seems to notice something, thinking to himself that he wants to show his good side. Disaster strikes as one of the girls, holding a tray with drinks, is bumped into by another. The tray and cups go flying, about to make a huge mess. In a display of incredible reflexes, Taki dives down and, with ninja-like precision, catches both cups perfectly upright, trapping the water against the floor before a single drop can spill. The girls are amazed. As the group rides an escalator, one of the girls compliments Taki on his impressive save, which he dismisses as nothing. But just then, Aoi loses her footing and starts to fall forward. In a moment of pure slapstick, Taki's baggy pants get snagged on the escalator's handrail, and he's sent tumbling helplessly down the moving stairs. Despite the brutal-looking fall, Taki lands at the bottom, immediately striking a pose with a thumbs up and a dazzling smile. He assures his worried classmates that he's perfectly okay. Seeing his dramatic recovery and over-the-top pose, Aoi can't help but burst out laughing, completely amused by the spectacle. Taki thanks her, a bit flustered, while Yadaka watches from a distance, still in awe of Taki's ability to handle the situation. Yadaka, meanwhile, is internally struggling with his own constant troubles, especially with his ninja self, Yadaka, on watch. Taki tries to refocus on his mission, but his thoughts are interrupted by Yadaka, who suddenly shouts in excitement over a new distraction. Taki sternly tells the fool to get back down and stay hidden. As the group continues through the shoe store, the seemingly normal shopping trip is about to take a dark turn. The final panel closes in on Yadaka's eyes, wide with shock and alarm as he senses imminent danger, a premonition of the violence about to erupt. Yadaka's fears are realized as a sudden, violent explosion rips through the mall, sending the students, including Taki and Aoi, flying. Amidst the dust and confusion, Taki gets up, annoyed at the constant interruptions to his assignment. The other students are in shock. Taki yells at them to hurry and get out of there. Taki looks up and is shocked to see a man with messy dark hair and a scar sitting casually on a railing above. The man seems unimpressed by the chaos he's caused. Taki is stunned into silence. The mysterious man, Hachikoma, lets out a sigh while smoking, wishing the tobacco tax could be his salary. Taki, still in shock, wonders how the man got there so quickly and silently. From Hachikoma's hand, a destructive force erupts, tearing through the sports shop below him. The blast is powerful enough to destroy the concrete pillars of the building, filling the air with debris and screams. Hachikoma casually tells Taki that a job is a job, and he doesn't care how many people die in the process. It's not his problem. From his hiding spot, Yadaka gets an urgent message from his handler. She informs him that an enemy has appeared and orders him to help Ominiko, Taki. Yadaka immediately dashes into action. As Yadaka runs towards the danger, Aoi spots him, calling out his school alias, Nozuki. Yadaka, caught completely off guard, is horrified that Aoi, his protection target, has come directly over to him in the middle of a dangerous situation. The scene marks the beginning of the next chapter, what the two look forward to. Aoi, oblivious to the true danger, asks Yadaka, as Nozuki, what he's doing here. Yadaka is still frozen in shock. Amidst the wreckage, Aoi explains that she thought she saw Yadaka and ran over to him. Yadaka looks on, still flustered by her sudden appearance. The villain, Hachikoma, looks down from his perch, his gaze falling upon Aoi, who is now standing beside Yadaka. Yadaka grabs Aoi's hand, telling her they have to get out of here, but his handler's voice cuts in, telling him to leave Ominiko to fight and focus on taking the assignment. Aoi, to safety. Hachikoma notices Aoi Mukai has vanished from sight. Taki confronts him, stating that Yadaka will protect the assignment while he stops the enemy. The fight begins. Taki closes the distance instantly, launching a powerful kick at Hachikoma's head. Hachikoma narrowly dodges the blow. The two exchange blows in a flurry of motion. Hachikoma reveals a hidden blade in the toe of his shoe, but Taki manages to block the surprise attack. Hachikoma smiles sadistically as he lands a punch. Hachikoma grabs Taki's jacket, commenting that he's quick and has hidden weapons, a model ninja. However, Hachikoma follows up by saying that he despises ninjas who are by the book, like Taki. With a menacing glare, Hachikoma claims that by-the-book ninjas don't have the guts for a do-or-die situation. He then unleashes a powerful attack that sends Taki flying backward. Taki is shocked that Hachikoma destroyed the concrete with his bare hands. He contacts his handler for information, describing the enemy as being in his 30s or 40s. Hachikoma taunts Taki, telling him to stop dodging. On the phone with his handler, Taki confirms the enemy's description, taller than 180 centimeters and apathetic. He's amazed, wondering if the handler is reading his mind. Based on the description, Taki realizes the enemy must be Hachikoma. He notes that Hachikoma has always been incredibly lazy, so he wouldn't bother with normal, heavy weapons. Hachikoma mutters nonsense to himself, complaining about AI taking jobs. Taki is now certain it's him. His handler advises him to retreat, but Taki refuses, saying his orders were to stop the enemy, not run away. Hachikuma finally reveals his weapon of choice, thin, barely visible threads. He mockingly asks Taki if he's only just noticed them, revealing he wasn't hiding them at all. Using his threads, Hachikuma unleashes his full power, causing a massive section of the mall's second floor to collapse entirely. Taki is caught in the devastation, falling with the rubble. Meanwhile, Yudaka urgently pulls Aoi by the hand, trying to get them to safety. Aoi calls out his alias, Nozuki, asking him to wait. Aoi tells Yudaka that he's going too fast, and her feet are starting to hurt. Yudaka, still in a panic, quickly apologizes. With a surprising calmness, Aoi advises Yudaka that you shouldn't rush in an emergency, and that panicking won't help. Yudaka is shocked that she's completely right. Aoi then adds that she's surprised he's so fast. Yudaka is completely dumbfounded when Aoi, in the middle of all the chaos, cheerfully brings up the sports festival, exclaiming that she's really looking forward to it. As they walk, she continues, explaining that she couldn't enjoy these kinds of events with anyone during middle school, which is why she can't wait for the sports festival now. Yudaka listens, and then confesses his own feelings, that he actually feels down during big events because he's afraid of ruining the mood and just tries to stay out of the way. Aoi is surprised to hear this. In a heartfelt moment, Yudaka looks at Aoi and tells her that if she's looking forward to it, then he will too. He says that from now on, he'll have a reason to. Aoi's eyes widen, touched by his sincerity. Aoi beams with a bright, genuine smile. She tells Yudaka that it would have been nice if they could have done the three-legged race together. Their quiet moment is violently interrupted as Hachikuma and Taki crash through the wall right behind Aoi, still locked in their brutal fight. Hachikuma's eyes widen as he spots his target, Aoi, standing right in front of him. In an instant, Hachikuma incapacitates Taki with a chop to the neck and grabs Aoi, telling her it would be a bother if she struggled. He throws her over his shoulder and bids them farewell. As Hachikuma turns to leave, Yudaka dashes past him with incredible speed. Using his threads, Hachikuma warns him that the section of floor Yudaka is running on is also about to come down. Yudaka leaps across the crumbling floor, landing on the other side of the chasm. Hachikuma looks on, confused as to what Yudaka is possibly planning. Suddenly, Taki, though battered and exhausted, grabs onto Hachikuma's leg, refusing to let go. Hachikuma is annoyed, questioning how Taki can still move after the hit he took. With a furious roar, Taki throws Hachikuma's own words back at him. It's do or die, so how's this for guts? With a surge of adrenaline, he yanks Hachikuma off balance. Having successfully cleared the gap, Yudaka lands and turns to face the villain. A new look of determination shines in his eyes, his fear replaced by resolve. Hachikuma, still holding an unconscious Aoi, scoffs at Yudaka, telling him to just hand her over since it's just a job. But Yudaka stands his ground, firmly stating, I can't let you have her. Not Aoi. The confrontation is set, marking the beginning of Chapter 11, Tangling Threads. Hachikuma lectures Yudaka that the world is all about give and take, but Yudaka doesn't back down. In a quick flashback or explanation, Taki is on the phone with Yudaka, who reveals his clever tactic. He explains to a shocked Taki that he saw Hachikuma was using threads, so he quickly rubbed them between his palms to tangle them into a useless scramble. In the middle of the shopping mall, the assassin Akira looks at the tangled mess of threads in his hands with annoyance. He complains about how inhumane his own technique is, realizing it will be a major chore to undo. Deciding it's too much work, Akira gives up and throws the tangled threads away, admitting the diversion didn't work. In the background, the chaos causes Aoi to collapse, but she is quickly caught by her classmate, Ominiko. Yudaka arrives on the scene, seeing the danger. He tells a shocked Ominiko to please take care of Aoi, preparing to confront the threat himself. Akira, the assassin, warns Yudaka not to move, wanting to end things quickly. With a determined look, Yudaka retorts that he feels the same way. Taking charge of the situation, Yudaka, while holding the unconscious Aoi, instructs Ominiko to get her out of here. He declares that he will handle the assassin, Hachikuma. Ominiko agrees and prepares to leave. Akira leaps onto a railing and yanks his thread, launching a swift attack. The thread flies through the air towards Yudaka, who watches its approach with intense focus. The attack shatters the glass displays around the mall. Akira flies through the air, propelled by his threads, as shards of glass explode outwards. As Yudaka dodges, he analyzes the situation. He knows that without a place to hide, he's at a disadvantage due to Akira's range. He realizes he needs to find a way to neutralize the powerful threads, something even stronger than them. Akira mockingly asks if Yudaka is afraid of getting his fingers chopped off as Yudaka leaps across the wreckage to close the distance. Akira taunts Yudaka, saying he's too focused on the threads. As Yudaka is distracted, Akira uses another thread to attack from below, causing the floor to erupt. The attack misses Yudaka, instead hitting a mannequin behind him. Akira looks on in disbelief, surprised that his attack failed to connect. Yudaka takes advantage of the opening, swiftly closing the gap between them. He lunges past Akira, who is still off balance from his failed attack. Standing over a fallen Akira, Yudaka questions his anger. Akira, looking up from the ground, asks if Yudaka is upset that he attacked his ward, Aoi. Yudaka confirms that he is. Yudaka passionately declares that he is angry because he is supposed to be Aoi's protector. His sudden passionate declaration leaves him flustered. He quickly tries to backtrack, saying it doesn't mean she's special to him or anything, as Akira looks on, sensing his embarrassment. Akira stands up and offers some cynical advice from an older and wiser person. He tells Yudaka to cut the juvenile crap, stating that anything one considers precious just becomes a shackle. A flashback shows a younger Akira, codenamed Hachikuma, being praised by his clan. They called him their hope, telling him he was so good they had nothing to worry about. Akira's monologue continues. He reflects that the weak naturally gravitate towards the strong, but he sees them all as nuisances. He realized that after abandoning his entanglements, he felt great. He concludes that he doesn't actually need anything or anyone. He advises Yudaka to try it, to just toss aside anything that's annoying. Yudaka clenches his fist, disagreeing completely. Yudaka yells back, rejecting Akira's philosophy. He shouts that he wants friends. It's just that he can't make any. He tells Akira not to shout such an embarrassing epiphany. Yudaka thinks of Aoi, who is smiling happily. He recalls that he promised someone he would look forward to things, even if they seem like a lot of work, remembering their conversation about the three-legged race. Akira scoffs, asking if Yudaka is referring to the girl he's only with because of a mission. Yudaka lunges forward, declaring that his motivation is not because of the mission. Yudaka explains that he made the promise as her classmate and friend. As he speaks, Akira looks up in shock, realizing one of the threads attached to him feels different. It's the first one he threw out, now held by Yudaka. A horrifying realization dawns on Akira. Yudaka has been untangling the thread throughout their entire fight. Believing his longer experience gives him the upper hand, Akira pulls, confident he can break the single strand loose. But the thread doesn't snap. It holds firm. Stuttering in pure disbelief, Akira stares at the line, his eyes widening as he processes the impossible truth. Yudaka didn't just untangle it. He braided the damn thing. As Akira demands to know why Yudaka would do something so inefficient, Yudaka smiles, holding the now braided thread. He states that it actually worked out better than he expected. Yudaka yanks hard on the braided thread. Akira, caught off guard by its strength, is pulled forward, realizing that sometimes being tied to others means getting tangled up in unexpected ways. Using the braided thread as an anchor, Yudaka swings forward and delivers a powerful flying kick, smashing Akira into the ground amidst shattering glass and debris. Holding the broken ends of the thread, Yudaka delivers his final point. A single thread on its own will never be as strong as threads that are braided together. The battle is over. The story jumps forward to the beginning of Chapter 12, Mimizuku's mission. After his battle, Yudaka reports that the rogue ninja Hachikuma didn't pursue the assignment. Ready for his next move, he asks for Hachikuma's current location, planning to join him. Meanwhile, in the now empty shopping mall, Hachikuma is panting and sweating, aware that there might be more surprises lurking. Hachikuma runs, carrying an unconscious Aoi. He plans to slip in with the evacuating customers, knowing the enemy can't use their full power in a crowd. From a distance, Yudaka receives a report that Hachikuma has been neutralized and that he is to rendezvous. Suddenly, a new enemy, the masked ninja Tsubame, appears with sharp claws, pursuing Hachikuma and Aoi. Tsubame lunges, claws extended, trying to strike Hachikuma, who desperately dodges while still carrying Aoi on his back. Hachikuma slips and falls to his knees. Tsubame, seeing an opening, stomps down hard, incapacitating him. Just as Tsubame is about to finish the job, Yudaka intervenes from above, throwing a weapon that forcefully blocks Tsubame's strike and sends him flying backward. A new ally arrives, a man with glasses who observes that Hachikuma's leg is busted but that he did a good job. From a railing above, Yudaka reports that the enemy, Tsubame, has taken Aoi and that he's going to go faster. In the empty plaza, Tsubame now holds Aoi. He turns as the man with glasses approaches, wondering if someone missed the evacuation order. Tsubame asks if the man is a ninja. The man, drawing two swords, coolly replies, "Obviously." The swordsman moves with incredible speed, appearing instantly before Tsubame, who is shocked by his quickness. The two ninjas clash. The swordsman relentlessly pursues Tsubame, their battle a blur of motion across the mall floor. The swordsman questions Tsubame's hesitation, noticing he isn't pressing the attack. Tsubame is terrified, realizing the immense skill gap between them. Yudaka looks on from above as Tsubame suddenly flees without putting up a real fight, leaving Aoi behind. Yudaka is stunned that the enemy ran away. Yudaka drops down from the railing to check on Aoi and the swordsman. He recognizes him and asks for an update on the enemy. The swordsman adjusts his glasses. A text box identifies him as code name, Mimizuku, the Horned Owl. He reports that the enemy has escaped, but his priority is now Miss Aoi. Aoi, now conscious, recognizes Mimizuku as her driver from her first day of school. Mimizuku, carrying an injured ninja, confirms Yudaka's identity and asks Number 9 for permission to take Yudaka with him to the hospital. In the car, Yudaka has a moment of panic due to his social anxiety, realizing he's alone with a stranger in an awkward situation. Mimizuku informs Yudaka that Miss Aoi won't wake for some time. He then introduces himself properly, stating that while he is Mimizuku, he acts as her guardian and protector at home under the name Usami, and has done so for 8 years. Mimizuku confirms his understanding of Yudaka's mission, to maintain Aoi's safety at school. Yudaka confirms this is correct. Mimizuku thanks Yudaka for his work, acknowledging the ordeal he went through. Yudaka apologizes, saying he was upset when he heard the report that the enemy had temporarily taken Aoi, even if it was his fault. Mimizuku is annoyed that Yudaka is apologizing, clarifying that he isn't the one in trouble. He is actually impressed that Yudaka held out despite the harrowing conditions, subverting Yudaka's expectation of being reprimanded. Mimizuku explains their strategy. They purposefully sent Aoi to high school to draw out their adversaries. He reveals that the previous operator, before Number 9, took a conservative approach and kept Aoi on a short leash during middle school. He recalls how Aoi was looking forward to the sports festival, as she couldn't enjoy it with anyone in middle school. Seeing her so confined and isolated felt cruel to him. Bringing the conversation back to the present, Mimizuku delivers some news. Ominiko broke his leg in the fight and can no longer participate in the three-legged race. A horrified Yudaka realizes what's coming next. He has to take his place. The scene shifts to the sports festival. Yudaka is in his tracksuit, still processing the shock of being in the race. Aoi, completely focused, tells him, "Let's aim for first place." From the sidelines, an injured Ominiko on crutches apologizes to Yudaka for having to drop out, while their classmates cheer them on. As other pairs link up, Aoi enthusiastically puts her arm around a terrified Yudaka. He panics internally as she tells him, "Let's do this." The starting pistol fires and the race begins, with the crowd cheering loudly. From a distance, Mimizuku watches them, observing the mission's progress. A flashback shows Aoi sadly asking Mimizuku, as her guardian, Usami, for permission to go on a school trip. He denied her, stating that they couldn't take risks. Aoi dejectedly notes that she doesn't have any friends to go with anyway. The flashback continues, showing Aoi's loneliness. While her classmates excitedly gather to look at photos, she stands apart, isolated. In another flashback, Mimizuku is briefed by his superior. He is told that he will be the new Number 9 and Aoi's new strategic advisor for her high school assignment. When asked if he's concerned about giving Aoi more freedom, Mimizuku says not to worry. He reveals that as part of the new strategy, they are sending in Yudaka to protect her, calling him his secret weapon. Back in the present, Yudaka and Aoi cross the finish line of the three-legged race. Yudaka has a look of bewildered victory while Aoi cheers. After the race, Aoi playfully asks Yudaka if he's still feeling down about sports festivals. Overcoming his anxiety, Yudaka sweats but admits with a genuine smile, "I had fun." Hearing his reply, Aoi breaks into a radiant, joyful smile and exclaims, "Me too." Mimizuku watches this interaction from afar. As Yudaka and Aoi share a happy moment after the race, Mimizuku looks on with a satisfied expression, affirming to himself that Yudaka is a great secret weapon, indeed. The chapter comes to a close. In the classroom, as students chatter about the upcoming school camping trip, Nozaki Yudaka overhears that boys and girls will be separated. He realizes with dread that this means he'll be completely on his own. He turns to the girl next to him, Aoi Mukai, and awkwardly asks if there are any girls he's even remotely close to. While eating his lunch, Yudaka stares into the distance, having a sudden realization. He thinks to himself that he has finally reached the phase where he needs to start making more friends. Outside, his teammates Ominiko and Hibari approach him. Yudaka seems confused as Ominiko, with a confident smirk, tells him to consider the camping trip a prime opportunity. Hibari explains their new assignment, to expand Aoi Mukai's circle of friends. Ominiko adds that they can use this as a chance to get close to her and strengthen her protective detail. Yudaka, flustered, asks what he should do. Ominiko declares it's a wonderful opportunity for him to become friends with Hibari's group and make contact naturally, while Hibari chimes in, saying she'll ensure Aoi joins her group of girls. Hibari then suggests that Yudaka should join Ominiko's group. Ominiko is momentarily surprised, noting his group is quite athletic, but then a grin spreads across his face as he exclaims, "Yudaka is going to be my friend?" Woohoo! The suggestion sends Yudaka into a panic. He dramatically collapses face first onto the ground, shouting that he's doomed. He laments that being a ninja should make him athletic, but that's not the case. As Yudaka kneels on the ground in despair, Ominiko casually tells him he doesn't know the first thing about athletes. With that, Hibari declares, "Mission start." Meanwhile, Aoi Mukai is standing outside classroom 1-3 when a group of girls approach her, asking if she wants to head to the next class with them. She readily agrees. Elsewhere, Yudaka is surrounded by Ominiko's friends, who are discussing that since there's no afternoon basketball practice, the gym should be free. Yudaka, sweating nervously, feels overwhelmed, thinking to himself that he can't relate to anything they're saying and that they're all so tall. One of the boys turns and invites Yudaka to shoot some hoops with them. Yudaka is utterly bewildered by the invitation. Ominiko, seeing his friend in distress, whispers that he's got this. Ominiko confidently tells the group to prepare to be blown away, boasting that Yudaka has excellent hand-eye coordination. He then mutters to himself, "Not like that." Yudaka is left speechless as one of the other boys, Utsumi, asks Ominiko when he and Yudaka became friends. To everyone's surprise, Ominiko nonchalantly replies, "Who said we're friends?" Before anyone can react, Ominiko throws an arm around another boy and declares that he and Yudaka are best brothers. Yudaka can only think that this situation doesn't bode well at all. From a distance, Yudaka watches as Aoi easily gets along with her new group of friends, even joining them in a strange pose. He laughs to himself, but notes that while he doesn't get it, they seem to love it. A wave of panic hits Yudaka as he realizes he's the only one who can't make friends. He overhears some guys talking about how hard it would be to ask Aoi to join their group for the trip, since other guys like her too. Watching Aoi laugh happily with her friends, a dreadful thought crosses Yudaka's mind. He wonders if Aoi only talked to him before by chance and panics, asking himself what will happen to him if she makes more friends. As both groups of students walk down the hallway, Hibari seems to sense something is amiss and looks back with a questioning expression. Meanwhile, the boys decide to go ask Aoi to join them now. Disaster strikes in the stairwell. A girl carrying a large, heavy-looking bust statue trips and begins to fall down the stairs, losing her grip on the statue. Reacting with incredible speed, Yudaka and Hibari spring into action. Hibari leaps down the stairs to catch the falling statue, while Yudaka jumps towards the railing. Omaniko watches in shock, exclaiming how close that was. In the chaos, Aoi Mukai rushes forward, reaching out to catch the girl who tripped and is now tumbling down the stairs. Omaniko comes to a sudden halt at the top of the stairs. He sees that Aoi has successfully caught the falling girl, breaking her fall. Hibari, having secured the statue, looks on with concern. Suddenly, with a loud thump, Yudaka crashes into the wall beside the other students. He had vaulted over the railing to push the heavy statue out of the way, preventing it from hitting anyone. Aoi and the girl she saved look up in surprise to see Yudaka sliding in beside them. He gives Aoi a reassuring smile, remarking, "I know you'll go out of your way to help in times like this. I'm used to it now." Lying on the stairs, Aoi looks down at Yudaka and smiles back. "Oops," she says playfully. "You've gotten to know me too well." In that quiet moment, the two share an understanding, oblivious to the surprised students around them. In the aftermath, the girl who fell apologizes profusely to Aoi, who reassures her. Nearby, Omaniko and Hibari recover the statue. The other students are in awe, with one exclaiming how amazing Nozaki was for springing into action, and another praising Kana for catching the heavy statue. Omaniko simply says he just got lucky. One of the athletic boys approaches Nozaki, telling him, "That was awesome." Nozaki is left stunned and speechless by the unexpected praise. After the commotion dies down, the girl who fell and her friend bow thankfully to the group before heading off. Later, as the group walks down the school hallway, they discuss their after-school plans. Aoi turns to Nozaki and asks if he managed to get to know everyone better, to which he shyly agrees. Feeling a bit more confident, Nozaki turns to Aoi and asks a question that's been weighing on him. "Even when you make more friends, can you still stay friends with me?" Aoi looks at him, surprised by the question. Nozaki looks away, continuing his heartfelt plea. "Since I'd be lonely otherwise." Aoi's expression softens as she listens. Aoi responds without hesitation, "Yeah, duh." She then admits with a slight blush, "I'd feel lonely without you too." Nozaki is taken aback by her sincere reply. Sometime later, as the group of friends walk together down the hall, Aoi glances back at Yudaka, commenting that his recent actions were pretty good. A caption notes that it's been 2 months since their first day, and the students have gotten used to school life. In a separate location, 2 figures are seen discussing the mission. One of them voices a concern. If the assignment, Mukai, gets a boyfriend, it will throw a wrench in the entire operation. Yudaka receives a shocking new directive through his earpiece. The voice explains that the persona Omaniko adopted wasn't a good match for Aoi. Therefore, Yudaka will take on the mission in his place, play the role of her boyfriend. Yudaka screams in utter disbelief. The day of the school trip arrives. Students eagerly board the bus, excited for the camp. Inside, Yudaka sits quietly next to Omaniko, while Aoi and Hibari sit across from them. A voice in Yudaka's earpiece announces it's time to brief him on his mission. The mission is clarified for a stunned Yudaka. He is to use the school camping trip as an opportunity to become Aoi's boyfriend. Yudaka can't help but burst into laughter, declaring the mission impossible. Omaniko, sitting next to him, is shocked by his reaction, while Yudaka insists he stop laughing. Across the aisle, Hibari tells Aoi that she thinks this is going to be a disaster. Aoi turns to her and asks, "You too?" The voice from headquarters speaks again, saying it will be fine, as Yudaka formed his current bond with Aoi all by himself. He instructs that the 3 of them, Yudaka, Omaniko, and Hibari, will work together, but warns them not to forget to keep an eye out for enemies. The students arrive at the campsite, where an instructor tells them to prepare dinner in their groups. Another student walks by and comments on how impressive it is that the 4 of them, Yudaka, Aoi, Omaniko, and Hibari, all managed to get into the same group. Omaniko smirks, boasting that manipulating a random drawing is a piece of cake for him. Yudaka says he'll go get the utensils and ingredients, and Aoi quickly offers to come with him. Omaniko tells Yudaka he's the one he can count on most. Omaniko approaches Hibari, asking why she's so unhappy about the situation. She says it's nothing, just her opinion. He presses further, asking what will happen to the mission if they do nothing and Aoi finds a boyfriend on her own. Hibari explains her pessimistic view, stating that with high school students, It's always the ones who claim not to care about romance that end up in a relationship. She nervously admits that blindly believing someone wasn't interested is what led to her own broken. She trails off, flustered. Hibari admits that while it doesn't have to be Yudaka, she wanted to thank him, but he acts suspicious and is a downer. She seems conflicted, but Yudaka overhears and thinks she understands him the most. Suddenly, Hibari grabs both of Yudaka's hands, startling him. She exclaims that he gets that she thinks he's hopeless, then asks if he has no shame. Just then, Aoi walks up, asking why they are holding hands. Hibari quickly comes up with an excuse, laughing it off and explaining that her nails have grown out, so she was just asking Yudaka to check if they were too long. Aoi, taking the excuse at face value, innocently holds out her own hands to Yudaka. Then here, she says, asking him to check her nails too. Yudaka is completely flustered by the unexpected request. Blushing furiously, Yudaka looks at Aoi's hands and stammers that he thinks they look nice. He internally panics, thinking that's not what she was asking and that this should be fine. Aoi gently takes Yudaka's hand to inspect it herself. She notes that his nails look fine, but adds that his fingers are rougher than she expected. Omaniko tries to delegate tasks, asking Mukai if she can light the stove. Hibari grabs her arm and says they should get the matches, and Aoi agrees. Hibari and Yudaka share a knowing look. Later that evening, the girls head to the onsen, the traditional Japanese hot springs, to relax after setting up camp. Aoi and another girl sink into the steaming water with a sigh of relief. In the hot spring, Aoi and Hibari relax. Hibari complains about being tired, but internally she thinks about Yudaka getting all nervous over a mission. She then catches herself thinking Aoi is pretty, almost as pretty as herself. Mortified, Hibari wonders if she accidentally said that out loud. Trying to cover, she asks Aoi how she really feels and what she's truly like. Another girl in the onsen asks Aoi what she thinks of Nozaki. Aoi smiles and replies without a moment of hesitation, "He's a good friend." Aoi elaborates, explaining that Nozaki always works hard at everything, but he gets overwhelmed right away. She adds that even though he's awkward, he's considerate, and that's why he never lies. With a gentle smile, Aoi finishes her thought, saying, "That's what I like about him." The other girl playfully asks, "You like him? As a friend?" Obviously, Hibari looks on, a blush creeping onto her face as she processes Aoi's heartfelt words. Hibari reflects on the conversation. She realizes that Aoi has no idea about Yudaka's incredible skills as a ninja. Theoretically, all she knows are his flaws. She wonders if Aoi truly likes the things that make him seem pathetic. Under the full moon, Hibari's thoughts continue to spiral. She considers the complicated situation. Yudaka is Aoi's guard, and now his orders are to try to be her boyfriend. She questions what would happen if Aoi ever found out about his mission. Later that night, outside the main building, Omaniko's friends ask Yudaka if he's scared of the upcoming haunted walk. Yudaka calmly replies that he's not, since he doesn't have to talk to ghosts. His deadpan logic scares his new friends more than any ghost story. Yudaka pulls Omaniko aside and apologizes, feeling guilty that the boyfriend mission was originally supposed to be his. Omaniko brushes it off, saying that since Yudaka and Hibari helped him out earlier with the falling statue, they're even. With a serious expression, Yudaka tells Omaniko that he's relying on him. Omaniko, surprised by his intensity, replies, "You bet," while thinking to himself that he's just glad to be alive after Yudaka's previous social blunders. Yudaka confesses his inner turmoil to Omaniko. He knows that playing the role of Aoi's boyfriend is his job, but admits that he hasn't been able to separate his personal feelings from the mission, suggesting that he feels responsible for holding things up. Before the haunted walk, the teacher in charge makes an announcement. With a sinister grin, he states that there will be no ghost actors on the walk, which means if they see anything out there, it's real. The students groan, while Yudaka thinks to himself that the teacher is definitely trying to make this entertaining. The students draw lots to determine their pairs for the walk. When Aoi reveals she drew number 3, Yudaka shows that he has the matching card. Aoi smiles, saying it's kind of like fate. In the background, Omaniko gives a thumbs up, proud of his work rigging the draw. As they begin their walk through the dark woods, Aoi asks Yudaka if he's going to be okay. He confidently replies that he doesn't believe in ghosts anyway. The mood between them is decidedly unromantic. As they walk, Yudaka's ninja senses kick in. A blade comes flying through the air, and he instantly reacts, deflecting it with his arm just before it can hit him. Further down the path, a ghostly, glowing white figure appears in the darkness. Both Yudaka and Aoi freeze in their tracks. Aoi nervously points, exclaiming that someone is over there. The figure steps forward, revealing himself to be a man with long, light-colored hair and a braided lock, identified as Taki Utsumi, also known as Toby. He greets them with a casual good evening. Yudaka realizes with a jolt that this is no actor and they are in real danger. The scene opens in a dark forest where a man with long, braided white hair suddenly appears behind Yudaka and Aoi, startling them. He introduces himself as Toby, the kite, a name he no longer uses. With a calm but unsettling demeanor, he announces that he has come to take one of them away, leaving Yudaka to realize their cover has just been blown. Aoi, completely unaware of the real danger, mistakes the tense situation for part of the school's haunted walk. Holding her phone, she exclaims with excitement that the event is intense and she's never heard of a ninja ghost before, feeling as if she's been saved by the situation. Yudaka's face hardens with determination as he receives a directive to protect Aoi on his own until another ninja can be sent to him. Meanwhile, Toby confronts them, mentioning he's heard of Yudaka and his victory over someone named Kuma. As the moon disappears behind the clouds, Toby looks up and pities his opponent's fate. With a chilling smile, Toby taunts Yudaka, saying he won't even get to see the moon during his last moments. Yudaka grimly notes to himself that only people with the power to back it up would make such a bold and terrifying threat. Toby continues his unsettling monologue, casually talking to his sword as if it were a person. He declares that simply cutting Yudaka in half wouldn't be fun, revealing his nature as someone who enjoys a good fight. Yudaka internally begs him to stop as Toby turns his attention back to them, calling out with a simple hey. Mistaking the confrontation for an act, Aoi enthusiastically asks not to be left out of the fun. Yudaka is exasperated by her naivety. Toby, maintaining his polite facade, calmly tells Aoi that he will kidnap her after he defeats Yudaka, turning her down and refusing to fight her directly. Aoi poutingly asks why Toby won't fight her. Trying to rationalize the situation, Yudaka suggests that Toby must live by a cliché code where he can't kill women or children. To Yudaka's surprise, Toby confirms this very code. He states that he will never lay a hand on women or children, a principle Yudaka now begins to understand more and more about his opponent. With his principle stated, Toby tells them to move back. His expression turns serious as he draws his sword, announcing, "Let's begin this." Yudaka can only stare in shock as Toby prepares for their duel. In a flash, Toby lunges forward. He doesn't attack them directly, but instead slices upward, sending Aoi's smartphone flying into the air. Both Yudaka and Aoi are stunned by his incredible speed. As the phone, their only light source, tumbles away, they are plunged into darkness. Yudaka realizes Toby is using the blocked moon to his advantage, but reasons that Toby won't be able to see them either. Yudaka's assumption is instantly proven wrong. Toby appears directly behind him as if from nowhere, ready to strike, and coolly states, "No, I can see you." Yudaka's eyes widen in disbelief and terror. Toby's blade swings true, and in a violent slash, he decapitates his target in the darkness of the woods. However, the body that Toby struck dissolves into nothing. It was merely an afterimage or a clone, a testament to Yudaka's quick thinking and skill. Toby compliments Yudaka's good reflexes, but warns that next time he'll slice him down the middle. Yudaka, now bleeding, is shocked that Toby could hear his pained gasp. Toby reveals his inhuman sense of hearing, claiming he can hear everything from Yudaka's whispering to the rustle of his clothes against dry leaves. Yudaka desperately contacts his operator, Hibari, asking how much longer until she arrives. He realizes they are not dealing with just one enemy. Toby confirms this, revealing that hitmen are hiding throughout the woods, placed there specifically to slow down any reinforcements. Before Yudaka can react to one of the hidden assassins, Toby intercepts the attack himself, effortlessly cutting the hitman down. He casually remarks that it looks like he didn't even need to bother with them, showcasing his overwhelming superiority. Another hitman is sent flying with a powerful kick from Toby. Yudaka, struggling to keep up, hears the crash and calls out in concern. Aoi, still oblivious, answers from a distance that she's okay, believing the victims are just actors and their screams are part of the haunted walk script. Aoi asks if Yudaka is sure he's okay. Despite being visibly injured and dirted from the fight, Yudaka grits his teeth and insists that he is. Cornered and injured, Yudaka's mind races. Reinforcements aren't coming. He has to protect Aoi, and he's worried about what will happen if anyone sees that he's hurt. He steels himself for the next phase of the fight against Toby. Yudaka uses his agility to dodge and create space, kicking up a cloud of leaves and debris from the forest floor as he evades an unseen attack. Despite Yudaka's efforts, Toby appears before him in an instant, a small crater forming where he lands. He looks down on the battered Yudaka and repeats his earlier statement with chilling finality. "I told you that I can see you." Standing over the exhausted Yudaka, Toby calmly walks away from his defeated foe. He amends his earlier principle, stating he does not wish to harm women, children, or the weak, implying Yudaka now falls into that last category. Yudaka can only gasp for breath on the ground. Defeated and on his knees, Yudaka realizes there's no point to his struggle if Aoi gets captured. As Toby turns his back on him and begins walking towards the girl, he coldly announces, "Now, I will take the girl." Just as all hope seems lost, a new resolve fills Yudaka's eyes. He tells Toby to wait, determined to focus on taking him down. However, Toby's attention is diverted. He stops, surprised, as another figure who looks identical to him appears in the woods. "You're earlier than expected," the original Toby remarks, sensing a shift in the battle. Reinforcements arrive, leaping through the trees. Toby recognizes them not as mere hired hands, but as a couple of elite members. He watches one land with impressive force and acknowledges that since Yudaka needs help, the cannon fodder he hired won't be enough to slow these new arrivals down. The new arrivals are Yudaka's teammates, Umineko and Hibari. While Hibari apologizes to a fainted Aoi, the spiky-haired Umineko declares he's suddenly motivated. Toby smiles, liking the idea of a 3-against-1 fight. Umineko instructs Hibari to take cover and protect Aoi, stepping up to support Yudaka. With his allies now protecting Aoi, Umineko tells Yudaka that there's no need for multitasking anymore, which should make his job easy. Yudaka, hunched over but resolute, quietly agrees. With his focus completely renewed, Yudaka stands up and mockingly turns Toby's earlier threat back on him, declaring that Toby will be the one to see the moon in his last moments. Enraged by this defiance, Toby snarls that now he feels like cutting Yudaka in half. The chapter ends on this cliffhanger. The story continues with the start of a new chapter. Toby, facing Yudaka, reiterates that he can't take much time with him, so it's time for Yudaka to be split in half. Now fully confident, Yudaka replies, "That's what I'm planning," signaling his readiness to end the fight. Toby observes his surroundings. He notes that even though the moon is out, the night is still upon them. He believes he is the only one who has a full picture of everything, seeing himself at an advantage in the darkness. Toby advances aggressively, already anticipating that Yudaka will try to dodge again. He adjusts his stance, preparing to counter Yudaka's evasive maneuvers. Toby lunges forward with a powerful thrust. The narration explains that his sword has a reach of 2 meters in all directions, and he fully intends to keep Yudaka within this deadly range. However, things have changed. With Aoi safe, Yudaka no longer has a reason to hold back. As Toby's sword thrusts forward, Yudaka effortlessly sidesteps the blade, which whistles past him, much to Toby's confusion. Unleashing his full power, Yudaka pivots and delivers a powerful roundhouse kick that connects squarely with Toby's side, shattering the ground beneath his feet. The force of Yudaka's kick sends Toby flying backward through the forest. Toby cries out in pain as he is thrown off his feet. Toby collapses to the ground, panting and asking in disbelief what just happened. From a distance, Umineko coolly explains that Yudaka did nothing out of the ordinary. His kick is simply faster than Toby's sword swing. Watching Toby struggle on the ground, Umineko continues his explanation. He makes a hand sign and states that it said a ninja's hand signs help them focus their mind, a concept Toby can't believe. The scene flashes through Yadaka's focused thoughts. This is the ninja art of mind and soul. By using hand signs, he can achieve a state of pure focus. The thought concludes that no one is a match for Yadaka when he has his undivided attention on them. On the ground, Toby watches as Umineko and Hibari escape with Aoi. He admits to himself that he won't be able to catch up to them now. It's revealed that his mission was only to gauge the power of the ninja who beat Kuma, Yadaka. So technically, his job is done. Despite his mission being technically complete, Toby is filled with rage. A wide, crazed smile spreads across his face as he thinks about what really gets on his nerves. How Yadaka arrogantly assumes he's already won the fight. Toby's sensitive ears pick up Yadaka's voice from a distance. Yadaka taunts him, asking if he's the only one who becomes more powerful when not working under restraints. He confidently states he'd never lose to a ninja without a kekai, a type of barrier technique, further infuriating Toby. The battle reignites. Now driven by pure anger, Toby and Yadaka dash through the forest, their figures blurring as they clash among the trees. Yadaka is struck in the head by a thrown branch. Toby, now fighting without restraint, declares that since the target, Aoi, isn't here anymore, he is free to do as he likes. Yadaka tumbles into a pile of debris. As Yadaka tries to regain his footing amidst a shower of falling leaves, Toby taunts him from the shadows, asking if he can see the branches as they fall in the darkness, highlighting his own superior senses. Toby's eyes gleam in the dark as he declares that he is the only one who can truly see. He swings his blade, not at Yadaka, but at the trees around him, felling massive trunks to use as weapons. A falling branch pins Yadaka by the shoulder. Toby, having recovered his confidence, uses the environment to his advantage, leaping from a fallen log to press his attack. Yadaka realizes his opponent is now using every trick he has. Perched confidently on a log, Toby laughs and declares that the knight is his ally and no one else's. Below, a battered Yadaka grimaces, annoyed that his foe is back to spouting cool-sounding lines. Yadaka, looking up at his gloating opponent, has a sudden realization. He asks Toby if his line about the knight being his ally was an attempt at a cool line, then offers his own cynical retort. So, you're trying to paint the darkness red with fresh blood? Toby is delighted by Yadaka's retort, laughing as he riffs off of it. He agrees, declaring that tonight he will paint this fine evening crimson with Yadaka's blood. In the background, Umineko is seen carrying a large log, setting up their next move. The scene ends with Toby launching himself from the trees for another ferocious attack, aiming to end the fight. Toby's enhanced hearing allows him to sense that Yadaka is nearing his physical limit. He can hear his strained breathing. He internally admits that Yadaka is powerful, but claims to see a weakness. Meanwhile, Yadaka tells himself not to force it, spotting something in the darkness other than the moon, hinting at a plan. Toby reveals the weakness he's discovered. He tells Yadaka that he heard his heart rate slow down the moment his teammates escorted Aoi to safety, indicating Yadaka's emotional state is directly linked to her presence. Toby directly confronts Yadaka on a personal level, asking if he has feelings for Aoi, the girl he's supposed to be guarding. Yadaka is flustered and speechless. Toby internally plots to use this emotional weakness to his advantage, believing Yadaka doesn't have the right killer instinct for his level of power. Continuing his psychological assault, Toby's disembodied voice echoes through the dark woods. He questions if Yadaka can truly protect Aoi, arguing that he can't function without giving her his undivided attention and that she has too many enemies. He cruelly predicts Yadaka will inevitably make a mistake and disappoint her. Yadaka defiantly rejects Toby's taunts, declaring it's not a problem because Aoi even laughs at his shortcomings. As he speaks, he forms a hand sign. Toby, lunging for an attack, is shocked to realize Yadaka is using the art of mind and soul in the middle of a frantic battle. With newfound resolve shining in his eyes, Yadaka stares down Toby. He declares that this is not the correct hand sign, and with absolute conviction, he proclaims that he will ensure Aoi is never disappointed in him. With a final, sharp movement, Yadaka snaps his fingers. The action produces a blinding flash of light and a deafening snap that rips through the entire forest, overwhelming all senses. The blast disorients Toby completely. He initially mistakes the sound for a gunshot, but realizes it was several times louder. He clutches his head, his greatest weapon, his hearing, now rendered useless as his ears are ringing painfully. From the sidelines, a stunned Umineko asks what Yudaka just did. Yudaka calmly explains that he snapped his fingers with extreme force, creating a sound blast that deafened Toby, whose hearing likely won't recover for a while. Umineko can't believe a simple snap could be so powerful. Yudaka admits there was a cost. He had to break his own finger in the process. Umineko cries out in concern. Toby is shown stumbling blindly, his senses of sight and hearing completely gone, leaving him utterly vulnerable. Seizing the opportunity, Yudaka rushes the defenseless Toby and executes a perfect throw, slamming him to the ground. As he stands victorious, Yudaka reaffirms his goal. Nothing will get in the way of Aoi having a regular life. The chapter ends with Yudaka wryly admitting to himself that Toby's earlier line about painting the darkness red wasn't half bad. In the moonlit forest, the battle concludes. Yudaka's teammate confirms that a retrieval squad has been called to capture their defeated foe, Taki Utsumi. On the ground, Taki admits defeat, not because he was overpowered, but because his sword is broken. He is lost. The scene flashes back to the height of the battle. A powerful blow from Taki disorients Yudaka, affecting his hearing. Realizing he's outmatched, Yudaka makes a tactical decision. He gives up any thought of winning and dedicates himself purely to defense. Taki presses his attack, relentlessly kicking at the defensive Yudaka. He notes with some disappointment that Yudaka's movements are also starting to lag, making for an unsatisfying victory. He promises, however, that their next fight will be far more enjoyable. Yudaka screams that he has never enjoyed fighting, not even once. Taki scoffs at the outburst, calling it awful since fighting is Yudaka's only real talent. He acknowledges Yudaka has mastered combat for an ordinary person, but insists that a true ninja must go beyond that. The fast-paced exchange continues. Yudaka launches a desperate counterattack, flinging his broken blade, but Taki dodges it with ease. Yudaka can only watch, his eyes locked on his superior opponent. With a final, dramatic leap, Taki forfeits the match. He vows that in their next encounter, one of them will forfeit their life. As he vanishes into the trees, Yudaka internally remarks on his enemy's flair for a cool exit line. Back in the present, Yudaka's teammate asks if he can pursue Taki, but Yudaka collapses, admitting he's too injured to continue. The teammate observes that even though Toby had the environmental advantage, he still did a real number on Yudaka. Yudaka looks out at the forest, destroyed from their battle. He grimly asks his teammate if he'll have to keep fighting enemies this strong, and what will happen if he can't handle them on his own. His teammate lays out the harsh reality. If Yudaka fails, their mission to capture enemies will be abandoned. The priority will shift entirely to protecting Aoi. Her freedom would be restricted, and a new, more capable ninja would be assigned to the mission. Yudaka gets a call from their operator, Hibari. He's told that Aoi has been safely brought to their retreat location. Hibari then explains the cover story they've devised. Aoi fainted during the school's haunted walk, and Yudaka was injured in an accident, much to his surprise. The full weight of the situation crashes down on Yudaka. As a result of their fabricated story, the haunted walk has been canceled, and the teachers are now searching for him. He's horrified by the scale of the trouble they've caused. As his teammate runs off, Yudaka panics about the underclassmen hating them now. His teammate tells him Hibari is on the way with supplies, and to be patient. In pain, Yudaka cries out, lamenting that as a ninja, painkillers have no effect on him. Later, a weary Yudaka gives Aoi a piggyback ride. She asks innocently if he won the fight. He vaguely replies that he only got through it thanks to her and their friend's help. Aoi feels a wave of guilt, realizing how badly Yudaka was hurt and feeling miffed at herself for having to rely on him so much. Their friend tells her to wait there for the teachers, thanking her for her help. Aoi sharply turns away, stating she was just doing it for the mission and doesn't need any thanks. Her abrupt dismissal leaves her classmate utterly confused. Yudaka watches her, understanding her harsh words are just a sign of her social awkwardness. Just as he thinks this, a group of teachers with flashlights finally discovers him in the darkness. Back at the lodge, Yudaka is relieved that his classmates are concerned, not angry about the canceled event. A new, charismatic student, Makoto Yuki offers him a hot drink and tells everyone it's time to rest, much to their disappointment. Suddenly, Makoto's friendly facade drops. With a scary look in his eyes, he shoos the others away, telling them to leave the tired Yudaka alone and muttering that this is why he can't stand civilians. The students disperse, but Yudaka is surprised to see a lone figure walking toward him against the crowd. It's Aoi. Aoi walks up to Yudaka, explaining she couldn't get through the crowd of people until it parted for her. She begins to apologize for leaving him earlier, while he internally compares her to Moses parting the sea. In a simple, quiet gesture, Aoi reaches out and gently rests her hand on Yudaka's head, comforting him after the ordeal. The tender moment leaves their onlookers completely shocked. Yudaka, caught off guard and blushing, can only look down and stammer that he didn't mean to cause such a scene. Aoi smiles, sincerely happy to see him. "I'm so glad. You made it back," she says. Yudaka tries to brush it off, but he feels her hand trembling, realizing how truly worried she was. "Of course I did," she replies. As she continues to comfort the exhausted Yudaka, Aoi quietly reveals the deep-seated fear behind her worry, admitting her belief that she is jinxed. Yudaka peeks up at her, confused. Aoi explains with a sad expression that people around her have always had a tendency to drop like flies, alluding to her parents and previous ninja guardians. She then apologizes, assuming he has no idea what she's talking about. Yudaka recalls his teammates' words about how he would be replaced if he failed his mission. He turns back to Aoi and tells her that it'll be fine. With newfound determination in his eyes, Yudaka looks at Aoi and makes a heartfelt declaration. "I'll be fine," he says, "I promise." Aoi's worries melt away into a warm, genuine smile. "Well, when you put it like that, how can I not believe you?" she says. Yudaka realizes she was truly worried about him, and he doesn't want her to feel like she's on her own. Yudaka internally vows to protect her, no matter what situation they end up in, and no matter what enemies come after her. Elsewhere, the new student Makoto Yuki talks with another ninja, Nozuku. She's a serious-looking girl with glasses and a ponytail. Makoto asks Nozuku if she wants to know about Yudaka's injuries, noting he could tell how bad they were even with his clothes on. Nozuku is upset they couldn't even touch the fugitive ninjas. Makoto clenches his fist, stating that ninja don't let their feelings show, no matter how frustrated or useless they feel. From afar, he tells Nozuku to at least get on his level, to which she retorts, "And be as weak as you? Excuse me." The next day, the school trip ends. Students board the bus to go home. A teacher reminds everyone to take care, as the trip isn't over until they are all home safely. Yudaka and Aoi walk together, with Aoi remarking on how fun the trip was. As they part ways, Aoi gives Yudaka a friendly wave, telling him she'll see him in class. Yudaka watches her go, still feeling flustered. Once alone, Yudaka makes a call to his handler. He apologizes, saying he was supposed to get closer to Aoi for the mission, but things turned out surprisingly well anyway. He asks his handler to make a hospital appointment for him, admitting that his injuries hurt. Yudaka confesses that his injuries do hurt, but ever since he saw Aoi, his chest has been hurting too. He feels his face flush, thinking it might be inflammation from a fracture. He adjusts his tie, suspecting he might have a broken rib. His handler on the phone offers another possibility for his symptoms. Or maybe, you're in love? Yudaka is left to ponder this, a smile creeping onto his face. He thinks it feels a little warm, but then again, a broken bone might creak when he puts pressure on it. He concludes it's love, and he probably broke something too. From the other end, his handler thinks, "I know I told you to take on the role of her boyfriend, but I didn't tell you to fall in love." The story of the undercover Shinobi continues, with the title of Chapter 18 revealed as Precious Little Birdies. In a classroom, Aoi asks Yudaka how his injuries are. He tries to play it cool, saying they're not an issue, while she tells him they're paired with Class 2 for P. Aoi sees right through his act. "Did you figure it out?" she asks. Yudaka panics, thinking his cover is blown, and stammers in agreement. Aoi, however, was merely pointing out that his supposed non-issue definitely sounds like an issue. Yudaka decides to confide in her, admitting that his chest has been hurting lately, but only when he talks to her. Before Aoi can process this, his teammate from the forest appears, asking if he's sure he can fulfill the mission in his current condition. Yadaka's teammate chides him for yelling, pointing out a huge crowd of girls gathering nearby. They're fawning over a handsome student from Class 2, Makoto Yuki. One of Yadaka's classmates, Nakamura, points him out. The girls are completely captivated by Makoto Yuki, wondering if their eyes deceive them. One girl swears she saw a flurry of rose petals around him and wonders if he's a flower fairy. Yadaka's friends don't get the appeal. One of the girls swoons over Makoto. Yadaka's teammate urgently tells them to leave, warning them that it's too dangerous and they might fall in love. Yadaka is exasperated, wondering what they think Makoto is, a black hole? Just as Yadaka calls him a hole, Makoto turns and starts walking towards them, greeting Aoi with a smooth hello. Princess. Both Yadaka and Aoi are stunned by his amazing looks up close and his bold nickname for her. Makoto gives Yadaka a sharp glare, telling him not to forget his face. Yadaka is taken aback by his short temper, while also noticing his long eyelashes and long legs. Suddenly, Makoto staggers dramatically, calling out for his princess. Makoto stumbles towards Aoi, claiming her beauty is making him dizzy with vertigo. Yadaka thinks he's a confusing person, first angry, now dizzy. Makoto then asks Aoi for her name. Upon hearing her name is Aoi Mukai, Makoto declares it a beautiful name, though Yadaka thinks the compliment is a bit over the top. Immediately after, Makoto dramatically collapses to the floor. With a wink, Makoto claims he just hurt his back. He then asks Aoi and Yadaka if they would be so kind as to escort him to the nurse's office. Yadaka is bewildered by the sudden request. They escort Makoto to the nurse's office, but find it empty. With class about to start, Aoi tries to leave, but Makoto dramatically grabs her arm, begging her not to leave him all on his lonesome. Seeing Makoto clinging to Aoi, Yadaka intervenes. He pulls Makoto's hand away, telling Aoi she can go on to class and that he will stay with their new acquaintance himself. Aoi agrees to leave, but questions Yadaka's decision, noting it's not like him to want to be alone with someone he just met. After she's gone, Makoto drops his act. Sheesh, get a clue, he says, before revealing he knows Yadaka by name. Yadaka is instantly on high alert. He realizes Makoto is not just another student, but a fellow ninja. He questions if he's an enemy. Makoto playfully reveals a small bird emblem. And one of ours, he declares, introducing himself as Suzume. A title card officially identifies him. Codename, Suzume, the Sparrow, Makoto Yuki. His role is to join the same club as Aoi as part of the assignment. Yadaka points out that Aoi has never joined a club. Suzume agrees, calling it a travesty and explaining that's why his role is currently limited. Suzume says this is all the more reason he should take on the role of the assignment's beau. He points out that Yadaka, originally just a safeguard, got too close to Aoi and is now unable to unleash his full potential. Suzume declares that he is different from the other ninja who failed, because he is super-duper handsome. Yadaka finds it hard to argue with that fact. Suzume casually states that besides, he already likes Aoi. When Yadaka asks him what he likes about her, Suzume simply replies, her pretty face. Yadaka is furious at his shallow reasoning. Suzume confidently continues, saying he knows exactly how to handle a girl like Aoi. The moodier they are, the easier they are to deal with. She'll be mine soon enough, just like all the others. Enraged, Yadaka grabs Suzume. Aoi isn't a thing you possess, he growls. Suzume smirks, retorting that she'll be even easier to manage and will soon be dancing in the palm of his hand. Just then, the school nurse, revealed to be their teammate Nozuku in disguise, slides the door open. She finds the room completely empty and wonders where the students went, swearing someone was just in there. In the hallway, Nozuku turns to see Suzume has Yadaka in a chokehold high against the wall. You seem unhappy, Suzume taunts. Yadaka struggles in the chokehold as Nozuku yells at them to stop. They suddenly crash through the wall right in front of her. Nozuku is shocked, asking where they just dropped in from, as Yadaka profusely apologizes. Suzume immediately resumes his act, pressing a hand to his forehead and claiming he was just resting because he felt a bit dizzy. Nozuku, falling for the act, fawns over him. While Nozuku is distracted, Suzume drops the act and delivers a powerful, spinning kick directly to Yadaka's face. The force of the kick sends Yadaka flying down the school hallway. A group of girls who witnessed the scene are left in shock, wondering what just happened and if Yudaka is okay. Suzume once again plays the victim. "Are you safe, ladies?" he asks the onlookers, advising them not to get involved with Yudaka, claiming he's behaving strangely. He tells them to just look at him, reinforcing his innocent act. Using the students as a shield, Suzume launches another acrobatic attack, flipping through the air and landing a heavy blow on Yudaka. As Yudaka recovers, Suzume mockingly asks if he also asks his enemies to wait just because people are around. He then dismisses the girls, telling them he wants to have a nice, long chat. With the civilians gone, Suzume lays down his challenge. He states that whoever has the role of the assignment's significant other needs to always be by Aoi's side, ready to fight. And if Yudaka is weaker than him, then she's his. Yudaka's eyes burn with anger. He declares that when Suzume talks about Aoi in such a possessive way, he knows he can't trust him with her. Suddenly, Suzume is struck in the face by a pill Yudaka had flicked at him. He stumbles back in pain. His classmates wonder what just happened, as Suzume falls to his knees. Yudaka approaches, holding out a bottle of pills. He asks if Suzume is feeling okay, noting that the blood has drained from his face. Suzume looks up, a dangerous glint in his eye. "No," he says. "If anything, my blood's boiling now." The chapter ends, to be continued. In the school hallway, as the bell rings, a student named Suzume waves goodbye to a couple of girls. Nearby, Yudaka watches him. Suzume then approaches Yudaka, taunting him about who is more suited to be with a certain girl. However, Suzume dismisses the thought and grabs his own neck, as if stopping himself. Yudaka tells Suzume that he will see things differently once he understands. In a flash, Suzume flicks his fingers, sending a whip-like attack hurtling through the air with incredible speed. Yudaka is shocked, wondering if it was a whip, as Suzume isn't holding anything. Suzume explains that the attack is his kekai, called flexiform, which allows him to crack his arm like a whip. He then correctly guesses that Yudaka is not from a ninja family. The confrontation turns physical. Suzume slams Yudaka against the wall, explaining that most ninjas and public safety are part of families that can be traced back to the Muromachi period. Suzume continues his lecture while grabbing Yudaka's jacket. He explains that each of these families pass down a special characteristic called a kekai, and only those who have awakened it can truly call themselves ninja. With a confident flip, Suzume declares that he is one of those chosen geniuses who deserve the title, leaving Yudaka stunned by his arrogance and skill. Yudaka, confused, asks why Suzume would tell him such heavily guarded information. Suzume admits that even speaking about their existence can get a ninja disowned. Suzume smiles cockily, admitting he's only telling Yudaka this to brag. He then offers to give Yudaka a taste of what a real ninja is, much to Yudaka's disbelief. Without another word, Suzume launches himself into a powerful flying kick, which Yudaka manages to block just in time. Yudaka is shocked by Suzume's speed. Before he can react, Suzume has him by the neck, noting that they can't fight freely inside the school building before smashing through a nearby window. They crash outside onto the school grounds. Suzume lands gracefully while taunting Yudaka, saying he may have fought tons of criminals, but he doesn't know what it's like to fight an actual ninja. Suzume stands over the fallen Yudaka, telling him he has no qualifications to be by Aoi's side. He tells Yudaka to leave Aoi to him, cruelly adding that she'll be just like his doll. Yudaka glares back, enraged. His eyes burning with fury, Yudaka retorts that it's people who think like Suzume that are the very reason why Aoi feels so alone. Suzume scoffs, saying Yudaka has no right to say that when he's weaker. He unleashes his whip arm attack again, but this time, Yudaka catches it. Suzume is in disbelief, wondering how Yudaka grabbed his arm when it was moving at nearly the speed of sound. Yudaka calmly explains that since Suzume said he moves his arm like a whip, he just grabbed it the same way anyone would grab a whip. A statement that defies logic, as normal people can't simply grab whips. Yudaka clarifies that anyone can follow a whip's movements by concentrating, but adds that Suzume isn't normal people, he's just an oddball. Suzume struggles, realizing he can't shake Yudaka's grip. In a shocking display of strength, Yudaka slams Suzume headfirst into the ground. He states that it doesn't matter whether someone has a kekai or is a fugitive ninja. Looking down at the defeated Suzume, Yudaka declares with unwavering resolve, Because I'm going to protect Aoi. That's my job. Lying on the ground, Suzume has a moment of realization. He thinks about how Yudaka fulfilled the role of a boyfriend, and admits to himself that Yudaka is actually kind of cool. He recalls being slammed into the wall, and then the floor, feeling completely outmatched. Suzume lies on the ground, defeated and utterly bewildered by the turn of events and his own confusing feelings, muttering, "Damn it," under his breath. Yudaka begins to walk away but suddenly stops. He turns back to the still-dazed Suzume and says he has a random question to ask. The penny finally drops for Yudaka. He asks, "Is Suzume a girl?" He realizes that's why she tried to stop him, because she couldn't join the same club as Aoi. He chides himself for being so dense. Yudaka awkwardly apologizes for her torn clothes. Flustered and embarrassed, Suzume leaps to her feet, demanding a rematch and insisting she'll win next time using her actual ninja arts. With tears welling in her eyes, Suzume passionately reveals her true feelings. She shouts that she just wanted to do her part to help everyone and asks Yudaka if he has any idea what it feels like to be left out. She continues, venting her frustrations about her terrible timing during past events. Yudaka, finally understanding her desperation, tells her she doesn't need qualifications and can just stay by Aoi's side. His unexpected words leave Suzume looking on in silent confusion. Continuing from their fight, Yudaka clarifies his previous statement, telling a confused Suzume that he would simply feel better with her around. Suzume is taken aback by his sincerity. Blushing and flustered, Suzume completely misinterprets his words, suspecting he might be trying to make her fall in love with him. She quickly dismisses the idea, exclaiming, "Not a chance." She calls Yudaka a pervert, which he immediately denies. Announcing that she needs to change clothes, Suzume walks away, still flustered by the conversation. Walking away, Suzume reflects with a smile. She thinks to herself that making people fall in love is supposed to be her specialty, yet Yudaka's earnest words made her heart skip a beat. The scene shifts. Now dressed in a girl's school uniform, Suzume stands confidently before Yudaka outside the girls' changing room. Having found her new purpose, she declares she will whip his romantic failures into shape by teaching him everything about romance. Yudaka can only react with stunned silence. The story moves to a new day, under the title, Chapter 20, Going Home in the Rain. Yudaka is on the school grounds, pondering a new piece of information. A captured ninja named Hachikuma has offered intel on their enemies. Yudaka is on the phone with his handler, who explains how they got the intel. Hachikuma, a former ninja, finally broke after being subjected to the tedious torture of completing 2,000-piece puzzles every single day. The handler continues, revealing that they have now identified 3 fugitive ninjas who attacked Aoi and are confirmed to be working together. The intel Hachikuma provided is the location of their base. The base is a coastal warehouse. An infiltration mission is set for Saturday, though they expect it might already be empty. Yudaka, who admits he's never had weekend plans, agrees to the mission. Back in the school hallway, Suzume, in her full female uniform, makes a grand and cheerful entrance, greeting her fellow ninja, Nozuku, with dramatic flair. Suzume informs Yudaka that she will take charge of his romantic education. As practice, she commands him to confess his feelings to her right then and there, leaving Yudaka utterly bewildered. Yudaka vehemently protests that he doesn't like her. Suzume argues it's necessary practice for expressing his true feelings, then cleverly asks if this means he likes someone else, causing Yudaka to blush. Suzume boasts that everyone adores her. Meanwhile, their handler informs them that all 4 ninjas at the school, including Suzume, will participate in the upcoming mission, much to Yudaka's dismay. As Yudaka panics over Suzume's romantic lessons, Aoi appears beside him and playfully asks who he likes, causing him to scream in frustration. Aoi mentions she's surprised to see Yudaka is now friends with Yuki, Suzume's public name. Yudaka is even more shocked that Aoi already knows Suzume is a girl. Suddenly, a girl with glasses named Hibana appears. She sees Suzume kneeling and showering another girl with compliments, wondering what is happening. Hibana angrily tells Suzume to get back to her own class, but Suzume is unfazed, continuing to praise the other girl's adorable face, declaring that no one can bring her down. Another student, Omaniko, approaches and tells Yuki, Suzume, to head back before morning assembly starts, warning her not to annoy Yudaka. Suzume decides she dislikes Ominiko simply because he's too handsome. She then informs Yudaka that another ninja, Mimizuku, is on a separate mission, so Yudaka must escort Aoi home that day. After school, it begins to rain. As Yudaka and Aoi stand by the exit, another classmate delivers a message from Suzume, while Aoi mentions she brought an umbrella. The message from Suzume is a piece of romantic advice. You don't need two umbrellas to walk home together. Yudaka panics as he realizes he can't find his own umbrella. Aoi smiles and tells him to be grateful she brought hers, offering to share it with him. Yudaka looks at her, touched by her kindness. However, just as Aoi opens her umbrella, a sudden gust of wind catches it, flipping it inside out and blowing it away, leaving them both stranded in the pouring rain. With their only umbrella gone, the two have no choice but to make a run for it through the downpour. They finally find shelter at a convenience store, completely soaked but laughing, relieved that they can now buy a new umbrella. Standing under the store's awning, Aoi cheerfully brushes her wet hair back from her face. She looks at the blushing Yudaka and, enjoying the spontaneous moment, playfully asks if they even need an umbrella anymore. As Aoi offers to buy an umbrella, Yudaka feels a sharp pain in his chest. Though his physical injuries have healed, he wonders why his heart aches whenever he's with her. At that moment, he spots a school ID card lying on the wet ground. He picks up the ID card and confirms it belongs to Aoi. His eyes widen in shock as he reads the details. Her birthday is on June 22nd, which is the upcoming Monday. Suddenly, Suzume appears holding her own umbrella, revealing she was tailing them all along. She triumphantly snatches the ID, overjoyed to learn that Aoi's birthday is in just 3 days. Suzume points out that this is a golden opportunity, as Yudaka is likely the only one who knows. She then does a terrible, dramatic impression of Aoi being lonely on her birthday, much to Yudaka's irritation. Unfazed, Suzume passionately outlines her grand romantic plan. Yudaka must approach Aoi with a bouquet of 16 roses. Yudaka is horrified, telling her she can't be serious. Suzume continues, instructing him to then declare the words, "I will love you forever." Yudaka immediately dismisses the entire idea as incredibly tacky. Her tone suddenly serious, Suzume urges Yudaka to act. She reminds him that since he's the only one who knows, this is his one chance to become someone special to Aoi, and he can't let it go to waste. Back at the convenience store entrance, Aoi notices Yudaka's strange behavior and asks if he was talking to someone. The store's exit chime provides a perfect distraction, and Yudaka announces it's time to leave. Now sharing a newly purchased umbrella, they walk home together. Aoi remarks that walking in the rain with a friend isn't so bad, admitting she never had the chance to do something like this in middle school. Yudaka reflects on Suzume's words and has a realization. Perhaps Aoi never mentioned her birthday because it didn't even occur to her that her new friends would want to celebrate it. As they part ways, he lets her keep the umbrella. Watching her leave, Yudaka starts to think Suzume's suggestion wasn't so bad after all. He considers getting her a birthday present, first thinking they could pick one out together, but then deciding it would be better if he chose it on his own. His thoughts are interrupted by the voice of his handler, reminding him that the mission is tomorrow and he must keep his priorities straight. Yudaka acknowledges the command. Night falls. The 4 ninja team, Yudaka, Suzume, Ominiko, and Hibana, gather on a bridge overlooking the target warehouse. Their mission is to infiltrate the active business and find intel on the fugitive ninjas without being noticed. Meanwhile, the captured Hachikomo warns his captors against sending Yudaka, calling him a valuable pawn that shouldn't be risked. The handler, however, dismisses the warning, stating with confidence that Yudaka would never fail. As the team prepares to move out, Yudaka is visibly exhausted and distracted, still agonizing over Aoi's birthday present. Ominiko notices his distraction, asking if he said something, but Yudaka denies it, clearly having been up all night thinking about it.